Chapter 341. Raging Spiritual Beasts. On a building in Union Village, a man wearing a red cloud robe with a black background looked at Union Village, which had fallen into chaos, and quickly formed a seal with his hands. Spiritual art tilde. Boom tilde tilde. A deep voice sounded, and a burst of smoke appeared in Union Village out of thin air. After the smoke was gradually blown away by the wind, huge centipedes, lobsters, chameleons, bulldogs, giant rhinos, and other huge monsters suddenly appeared in the end. In the eyes of the people. See tilde tilde. Roar tilde tilde. With a loud roar, these monsters began to move. After spreading out, they ravaged and destroyed everything in Union Village. Because of their huge size, the damage caused was extremely terrifying, and the entire Union Village was quickly shrouded in war. When these psychic beasts just appeared, the ninjas of the Ninja Alliance immediately rushed to them and began to deal with these psychic beasts. After all, these psychic beasts are too large, and their destructiveness is also extremely amazing. Hard to notice. Damn, such a big guy was actually channeled in the village. Fortunately, the villagers have been transferred during the war, otherwise it would be unimaginable. A Yunrin from Union's own village gritted his teeth in hatred when he saw the destruction caused by those psychic beasts, but he was a little fortunate in his heart. Fortunately, there are no other villagers in Union Village now, because when the war came, all the villagers were early. It has been transferred to the shelter for refuge. Now Union is only used as the headquarters of the Ninja Alliance. The people who stay in Union Village are all ninjas. Although there are many ninjas who have not yet been on the battlefield, they are compared to civilians who have no ability. In other words, at least you can protect yourself, and you don't have to worry about the safety of the villagers and distract yourself. Stop them. Although these psychic beasts are huge, terrifying, and look difficult to deal with, the ninjas of the Ninja Federation did not retreat. After exchanging glances, they locked their targets, followed by various ninjutsu. Ninja the tools were thrown on the bodies of those giant psychic beasts, and the counterattack began. Wind escape. Wind cutting technique. A ninja dressed in Konoha has locked on the target, and his hands began to quickly form a seal. With the completion of the seal, a gust of wind suddenly blew around him, and a giant wind blade visible to the naked eye, attacked extremely violently. A giant dog psychic beast with a pair of flesh wings on its back. PFF tilde tilde. With the sound of a sharp blade quickly cutting objects, then I saw the giant dog's psychic beast's front leg suddenly splattered with blood, and one forelimb was instantly separated from the body. The wind blade actually directly smashed the giant dog. The entire forelimb was severed, and blood was constantly flowing from the incision, and the wound looked terrifying. Psi tilde tilde. The severely injured giant dog raised its head and let out a roar, and then rushed towards the Konoha ninja who attacked it. The speed was extremely fast, and it seemed that a broken forelimb had no effect on it at all. It still looks very fast. Damn, don't these guys feel pain? Finding that the giant dog had been cut off with its forelimbs still so fast, the Konoha's ninja's face changed. Seeing the giant dog attacking, he secretly thought that it was not good. One jumped to the top of a building next to him, and that the giant-headed dog was opening its bloody mouth and biting into the position where he was before. If he hadn't reacted quickly, he would have been buried in the dog's mouth by now. If it misses a hit, the giant dog becomes more violent, making bursts of roars, as if venting his anger, constantly hitting the surrounding buildings, and some ninjas close to it are affected and can only dodge and evade. Damn. Upon seeing this, Yunren, without hesitation, immediately launched ninjutsu. Lay done. 4 pillars bound. As the voice of the Yunren just fell, there was a roar on the ground beside the giant dog, and then 4 stone pillars like mountain peaks rose from the ground, trapping the giant dog in the middle, and the 4 stone pillars were thundered. Entangled, and the giant dog surrounded by 4 stone pillars was also attacked by thunder done. The violent thunder and lightning seemed to have a strong gravitational pull on the giant dog's body, making the giant dog unable to break free for a while. It's fine if you cut your head off now. Seeing the giant dog being restrained, the ninja of Konoha immediately seized the opportunity, quickly formed a seal with both hands, and released ninjutsu again. Wind escape. Great cut. Another strong hurricane suddenly appeared, and a wind blade that was even stronger than before, with an incomparably swift and violent power, attacked the giant dog that was being suppressed by Yun Ren's release of Lei Dun. PFF. Without a trace of obstruction, the fierce wind blade instantly cut the giant dog's head, and blood spurted out in an instant, like a fountain, and the huge body of the giant dog fell to the ground with a bang. Is it resolved? Seeing this, Yun Ren also withdrew the ninjutsu, and secretly relieved in his heart. After all, the chakra consumed by maintaining such a large area of ninjutsu is also extremely amazing. After seeing the giant dog being decapitated, he didn't maintain his ninjutsu anymore. Technique. However, just when everyone was still feeling relieved that they had killed the giant dog, which had been decapitated, staggered and stood up again, as if the giant dog had been chopped off. The brain isn't dead yet. How is it possible? Seeing this terrifying scene, the ninjas present exclaimed in surprise and looked at the headless giant dog in awe. They didn't react for a while. Then, something even more surprising happened. I saw the terrifying incision on the neck of the giant dog squirming for a while, and then two hideous dog heads grew out, baring their teeth, staring coldly at the ninjas of the Ninja Federation. The giant dog psychic beast that had been decapitated not only did not die or disappear, but grew a new head, and also grew an extra one. The giant dog that originally had only one head has now become a double head. Inu, this undoubtedly shocked the ninjas present. One of the ninjas exclaimed, What's going on? This guy's head has actually increased. What kind of monster is this? The ninja from Konoha was more calm. After a short period of surprise, he quickly regained his composure, and analyzed, did he grow his head again? It seems that this is a special psychic beast. It is entangled. It is better to find out the caster. As long as the caster is solved, these psychic beasts should also disappear. After speaking, he began to look around, trying to find out who he was talking about. Chapter 342. Secret Investigation. At this time, in Union Village, as the headquarters of the Ninja Alliance, there are 4 shadows sitting at the headquarters. This should be the safest place, but no one would have thought that the people of Shao organization would be so daring and dare to act. At this time, 4 shadows were attacked at the headquarters of the Ninja Federation. In Union Village, the smoke of gunpowder is filled, the explosions, screams and wailing are constantly happening, and the huge monsters are raging around. At this moment, a tragic battlefield is evolving. This is the 5th generation Hokage Chisho Tsunade arrived at the scene. It was found that the casualties suffered by the Ninja Alliance were more serious than expected. The ninjas in the medical class are urgently rescuing the wounded. However, since most of the medical teams are dispatched to the front line to fight, the medical personnel left at the headquarters are obviously understaffed. At this time, there are too many wounded, and there are many wounded. Without timely treatment, he could only endure the pain, making an uncontrollable groan from time to time, and there were still wounded being transported back from the distant war zone. Seeing this tragic situation, Tsunade, who was about to look for the enemy, did not continue to go. His brows tightened, and he asked 2 ninjas who had just returned from transporting the wounded from the war zone, "Is the loss so serious? Have you collected any enemies?" Information. A ninja who was transporting the wounded looked over and saw that it was Tsunade who asked a question, and quickly replied, "The enemy is the Akatsuki organization, and the number is not clear. There are currently 4 enemies, each of which has a type of enemy. Special abilities, Reikage, Casecage, and Tsuchikage have already fought against 3 of them, and a member of the Akatsuki organization who used psychic beasts to fight was also entangled by our people, but it seems that there are still people from the Akatsuki organization lurking. In the village, we haven't found it yet. Is it someone from Akatsuki's organization? They attacked our headquarters at this time." After learning that the enemy was the Akatsuki organization, Tsunade was not surprised. After all, in the ninja world, the only one who dared to attack their ninja alliance was the eagle, and the Akatsuki organization had already officially declared war with the 5 major countries, and they would attack the Ninja Alliance. It was only natural, but what she didn't expect was that the Shao organization was so arrogant this time, and directly attacked the headquarters of the Ninja Federation. Tsunade had planned to rush to the battle zone to block the enemy, and seeing so many casualties, the enemy must be very strong, and the ninja of the Ninja Federation would be hard to resist. If she took action, it might be able to reduce the casualties of the Ninja Federation, but look, with the wounded all over the ground, Tsunade was also a little hesitant at this time. After all, the medical ninja in the headquarters is obviously understaffed, and she is very good at medical ninjutsu. It can be said that her medical ninja is unmatched in the ninja world. If she takes care of the wounded, she can relieve the medical ninja. Insufficient problem. Kakashi, who was following Tsunade, seemed to see Tsunade's thoughts and said solemnly, "Lord Naruto, leave the enemy's affairs to us." Tsunade heard the words and looked at Kakashi. She naturally chose to trust, and she knew that saving people was urgent. She nodded and said, "I know, I will channel out slugs, treat all the wounded, and let the slugs do their best by the way. Cooperate with you." After speaking, Tsunade walked to an open space and quickly formed a seal with both hands. The art of psychic. Boom. As a cloud of smoke appeared, a huge, blue and white giant slug appeared in front of Tsunade. Tsunade-sama. Tsunade didn't have any unnecessary nonsense, and gave the order to the slug, "You spread out immediately, follow all the ninjas, and then use my chakra to heal everyone." "Yes, I see." The slug obviously knew the current situation and did not raise any objection, and immediately executed Tsunade's instructions. The original huge body split into countless small slugs in an instant. Some of them crawled towards the wounded, and the other part crawled towards the wounded. Everywhere in Union Village. After a small slug quickly climbed up Kakashi's ankle and onto his shoulder, Tsunade said, "Kakashi, take the slug with you, it will help you." "I understand." Kakashi nodded, then jumped and rushed towards the distant battle area. "I will let you share information through slugs." After Kakashi left, Tsunade sat cross-legged on the ground, and at the same time began to deliver chakra. The blue chakra passed through her and transmitted it to all the slugs, and then the slugs treated all the wounded. Such a move while Tsunade's huge amount of chakra was wasted, and until all the slugs reached the ninja side of the Ninja Federation, she was temporarily unable to leave to fight. At the same time, somewhere in Union Village, a ninja who was searching for the wounded jumped up after finding an injured teammate on the ground, jumped to the wounded person, helped him up, and asked eagerly, "Hey Tilda, are you okay?" The wounded was obviously unconscious, and could not respond at all except for weak breathing. "Hold on, I'll take you back for treatment right away." Seeing this, the search and rescue ninja hurriedly carried the wounded on his shoulders, and was about to take the wounded away, when he turned around while carrying the wounded, and suddenly found that behind him, a middle-aged man wearing a black robe with red clouds was standing behind him. The young man looked at him blankly, his expression indifferent, as if he was looking at a dead corpse. Seeing this situation, the face of the ninja who was carrying the wounded suddenly changed, and he was extremely shocked. He didn't expect that someone stood behind him and didn't notice it. If the other party shot, I'm afraid he would already be dead. After being surprised, he subconsciously wanted to jump back a distance, and then he just wanted to make a move, but the middle-aged man in front of him was faster than him, and he grabbed a hand instantly. He was lifted up by his neck, and the force from his palm made him almost suffocate. No matter how hard he tried, it was useless, and the teammate who was on his shoulders also fell to the ground at this time. "Say, where are the 8-tailed and 9-tailed people, Zuli?" The middle-aged man in the Akatsuki uniform asked coldly after lifting the ninja up. "No, I don't know." The ninja who was strangled by the neck kept tugging at the middle-aged man's hand, trying to break free. After hearing the other party's question, he replied with difficulty. "This is not a deliberate concealment. He really doesn't know where the 9-tailed and 8-tailed Ren Zuli are." After all, the order to protect Renzuli was urgently issued by the 5 shadows of the Ninja Federation, and this task was carried out in secret. Know this secretly, apart from the 5 shadows who made the decision at that time and a few people, no one else really knew it. Didn't get the answer he wanted. The middle-aged man's strength increased a little bit, making the ninja of the Ninja Federation miserable. The middle-aged man looked at the pained expression of the ninja of the Ninja Federation. Impressed, he said coldly, "If you don't answer my question, you'll have no choice but to die. I'm asking once, where are the 9-tailed and 8-tailed people Zuri?" Following the middle-aged man's questioning again, a translucent giant head suddenly appeared behind the man. It was hideous and terrifying, and it looked like an evil ghost. In fact, this middle-aged man is the Hell Road in the 6 realms of pain. He can summon and control the Hades. Only when the other party is caught can he see the Yama King who is in charge of life and death behind the Hell Road. The head of the evil spirit is actually the King Yama he summoned. The ninja who was strangled by the neck saw the Queen Yama who appeared out of nowhere behind the Hell Dao, and his eyes were full of fear, but he really didn't know the whereabouts of the 8 tails and 9 tails, so he could only continue to answer that he didn't know. Really? Then I'll hand down the verdict. Hell Dao didn't care about the authenticity of the ninja's answer, because he had the ability to distinguish whether the other party was telling the truth or a lie. Then a tongue-like thing stuck out from his mouth, and King Yama, who was behind the Hell Realm, also opened his mouth, stretched out an arm from King Yama's mouth, and grabbed it. The long tongue stayed on, but it finally loosened after a while. Suo ga, you really don't seem to know. This is an ability of Hell, a tactile illusion. As long as you grab the opponent's throat, then summon an object similar to Yama, and ask him a question, Yama will stretch out a long bar similar to a hand from his mouth plus the object grabs the opponent's tongue plus, and judges whether the answer is true or false. If the other party lies, the King Yama will pull out his tongue and chew it and eat it. At the same time, the person dies. If it is true the words will not be pulled out. Once caught by the throat, they cannot escape, and the summoned Yama King cannot be seen by anyone other than himself and the other party. If that's the case, you're useless. Although he already knew the truth of what the ninja said, Hell Dao didn't let the ninja's plan go. The palm of his hand suddenly increased with plus and more force, and only heard a crisp fracture sound, the neck of the ninja. It was twisted and broken by hell, and the ninja's eyes were white, and the dead couldn't die any longer. Doesn't anyone know the whereabouts of Yahweh and Juwei? Where did they hide them? He threw the corpse in his hand on the ground, and after pondering in a low voice, he turned around and left. He wanted to take advantage of the chaos caused by other pain in Union Village, and secretly found out the 8-tailed and 9-tailed people Zuli. Fall. P.S. Because of the strict investigation now, many words have inexplicably become sensitive plus sensitive words, so in each sensitive plus sensitive word, I can only use 2 plus to separate. There is no way, because the pinyin is not good, it can only be like this. Chapter 343, Kakashi joins. It is not only the hell that is acting secretly as the core of pain's 6 paths, the heavenly pain is doing the same thing. A ninja team of only 4 people who were heading to the battle area for reinforcements kept jumping on the roof of Union Village, rushing towards the battle area, while they were originally standing in a corner plus Luo Li and watched Yun coldly. The hidden Tiandao Pain also started to act at this moment, and jumped in front of the reinforcement team, blocking their way. Immediately after Tiandao Pain appeared, he was discovered by the team, and immediately recognized Pain's identity after seeing the uniform on Pain's body. One of the ninjas dressed in Cheyenne exclaimed, "This guy, can't be wrong, is someone from Akatsuki's organization. Damn it, they are the ones who attacked the village." The enemy was very jealous when they met. A ninja dressed up in Yunyan couldn't take it lightly after seeing the culprit who attacked the village. A ninja from Konoha village was relatively calm, and after Tiandao Pain appeared, he reminded everyone, "Be careful, there are no weak people in Xiao's organization, who can sneak into the village quietly, and can cause such great damage to the village, don't be careless." Quote. Are you going to do it? A Yanin looked at Tiandao Pain, His hands were already together and he made a seal gesture, ready to take action at any time. Tiandao Pain looked indifferently at the 4 ninjas of the Ninja Alliance in front of him, but did not speak. He raised his right hand that was hanging down, and a dark chakra stick was in his hand instantly. Obviously, he was planning to shoot directly. Go! The 3 ninjas of the Ninja Federation didn't react slowly at all. After seeing the signs of Tiandao's action, their eyes narrowed, and they didn't wait any longer. After the sound, they all started to attack Tiandao Pain. 2 Dun Yenju Prison. I saw that the ninja from Yanyan village quickly formed a seal and took the lead. After his seal was completed, roots suddenly appeared on the ground around Tiandao Pain's side. The huge stone pillars formed a stone prison, besieging Tiandao Pain in the middle. It's now. Fire escape. Fire dragon fire bomb. Lay done. Let's go. Wind escape. Wind cut. The other ninjas also responded quickly. After seeing that Pain had been trapped by his teammates' ninjutsu, they did not hesitate at all, and immediately used their own attack methods to attack Pain, who was trapped in the stone prison. However, too slow. In the face of the joint attack of the ninjas of the Ninja Federation, Tiandao Pain, who was trapped in the stone prison, still did not change his face, looked indifferently at the various ninjutsu attacking him, and just said a word indifferently. Then I didn't see any action from Pain, but a strange scene appeared. I saw that all the attacks that attacked Tiandao Pain were about to hit Pain, and an invisible shockwave centered on Tiandao Pain suddenly spread around. It was the attack on Pain that fell apart in an instant. Moreover, the impact of this shockwave is very strong, not only offsetting the attacks of the ninjas of the Ninja Federation, but also washing down some surrounding buildings, and flying sand and stones in an instant. What? Such a situation was obviously beyond the expectations of the ninjas of the Ninja Federation. They stared at this scene in horror, without the slightest precaution, and were immediately attacked by this shock wave. An invisible force flew far away, and by the time all the riots subsided, they had already suffered serious injuries, and they were all lying on the ground like dead dogs, and their bodies were already covered with scars. But evil, just. What was that just now? That guy, what did he do? The ninja dressed as Cheyenne struggled to stand up from the ground, looked at the surrounding destruction caused by that invisible force in shock, and then looked at Tiandao Pain in horror, although he didn't know what's going on, but he is very sure that all this is done by the person in the Shao organization in front of him. After all, there is no other possibility here except Tiandao Pain. This is indeed the case. All of this was caused by Tiandao Pain. When the ninjas of the Ninja Federation attacked Tiandao Pain just now, Pain directly activated the ability of the Reincarnation Eye and used the Shen Luo Tianzheng to destroy everything around him. Everything bounced off, including all attacks on him. It is naturally impossible for these ninjas of the Ninja Federation to understand the ability of Tiandao Pain and other information, and it is even more impossible to understand the characteristics of Shen Luo Tianzheng. Although they have been protecting Tiandao Pain, they still have no effect. Luo Tianzheng was knocked flying, and they were seriously injured because of it. At this time, Pain started to move. Before the people from the Ninja League had recovered from the blow just now, they jumped up and rushed to the front of the Shayin from the position they were standing just now. The hand holding the dark chakra stick was raised, and in Shayin's terrified eyes, he stabbed the stick into Shayin's heart. PFF. The end of the stick came out directly from Shayin's back, and the red blood continued to pour out of the wound. The Shayin looked at the place where he was stabbed in horror, and subconsciously wanted to cover the wound with his hands. However, Tiandao Pain's chakra stick has pierced his heart. With the passage of life, he has lost the ability to move, with unwillingness, and finally completely lost his vitality. He threw Shayin, who had completely lost his vitality, on the ground, and Tiandao Pain locked another target again, jumped again, and instantly appeared in front of the ninja of Yanyan. Damn plus evil. Seeing this, the Yanren wanted to resist, but he had been seriously injured because of the injury of Shen Luo Tianzheng, and he could not resist Tiandao Pain's offensive at all. Just one encounter, that Yanran was used by Tiandao Pain. It was killed in the same way, and the corpse was thrown away by Pain. After killing Sand Ninja and Yan Ninja, Tiandao Pain looked at the remaining two ninjas of Union and Konoha, but this time he did not directly kill these two people. After looking at them a little bit, he raised his empty left hand to the Yunren, and the Yunren was horrified to find that his body was actually being pulled by an invisible force, and there was no room for resistance, and he was directly pulled. Arriving in front of Tiandao Pain, he was immediately strangled by the neck. "Bastard! What did you do to me?" After the Yunren was pulled over, his body was shaking desperately, as if he wanted to break free from Pain's control, but his body was being held by a force at the moment. No matter how hard you try, it's still to no avail. The Konoha ninja had also recovered some strength at this time. When he saw that the teammates of the Ninja League were in danger, he immediately rushed towards Tiandao Pain, trying to rescue the teammates. However, Tiandao Pain didn't even look at the Konoha ninja, didn't care about his actions, and obviously didn't take him seriously at all. Sure enough, before the Konoha ninja got close to Pain, he ran into an invisible force, was knocked out by this force, and fell to the ground. He had already been seriously injured, and now it was the injury that added to the injury, and I couldn't get up again for a while. Tiandao Pain looked at Yunren, who was pinched by him calmly. The chakra stick on his right hand was dripping blood continuously, and he asked the Yunren indifferently, "Tell me, Yahweh and Ju, where is the tail?" "Suoga, Yuan, it turns out that your purpose is for Naruto Uzumaki and Lord Kurabi." After hearing Pain's question, Yunren showed a sudden realization. He now understands that the Shao organization attacked Yunyin, the purpose of the village. "Tell me, where are the 8-tailed and 9-tailed people, Zuli?" Tiandao Pain did not show any impatience, and continued to ask the question just now. That Yunren no longer had the panic just now, became calm, and said disdainfully, "What a stupid guy, don't waste your efforts, don't try to get any information from me, I will not betray companions." "Really?" Hearing this, Tiandao Pain said calmly, without being surprised or annoyed. He knew very well that there is a kind of person who can't betray his companions anyway. There is no way to make such a person give in, so I didn't plan to waste any more time, and the chakra stick in my hand was raised again. "If that's the case, then it's nothing to do with you." While speaking, the chakra stick in his hand suddenly stabbed Yunren's heart. PFF'd. There is no suspense, the chakra stick pierced Yunren's heart at once, and the Yunren also died, and the body was thrown to the ground by Pain. After that, Bien turned his attention to the only Konoha ninja left. "Then, it's you next," he said, and walked towards the Konoha ninja. At this time, the Konoha ninja also seemed to realize what Pain wanted to do, but at this time he was seriously injured and couldn't do anything at all. He could only watch Pain walk in front of him step by step. After Tiandao Pain walked to the side of the Konoha ninja, he looked at him indifferently and said, "If you don't want to be killed by me like they did, just tell me the whereabouts of 9 tails and 8 tails. Konoha's ninja looked at his companion who was killed by Tiandao Pain. His expression became distorted with anger, and said with hatred to Tiandao Pain, "Stop dreaming, I won't tell you anything." He didn't get any information again. Tiandao Pain paused for a while, and finally said, "It seems that you also made a stupid decision." While speaking, Tiandao Pain held a chakra stick and stabbed the Konoha ninja in the heart. The Konoha ninja had obviously expected such a result, and did not show the fear of death, and he had already recognized it. ++ means life. When the ninja of Konoha was about to die at the hands of Pain, a hand suddenly appeared and grabbed Tiandao Pain's chakra stick, making it impossible for the chakra stick to move forward. Tiandao Pain's eyes moved slightly, because at this time, beside him, there was another figure with silver hair, a mask on his face, and 3 Guyu in a scarlet blood wheel eye slowly rotating, stared at him closely. Oh, Konoha's copy ninja, Hitaki Kakashi. Chapter 344, Kakashi vs. Pain. Kakashi was originally going to the war zone for support, but on the way, he suddenly found that Tiandao Pain was attracted by the movement caused by the Shinra Tianzheng released by Tiandao Pain because he resisted the previous ninjutsu attack. When he came over, he discovered that Tiandao Pain, who was about to kill Konoha Ninja, stopped Tiandao Pain without thinking. Kakashi looked solemnly at Tiandao Pain in front of him, and said in a solemn tone, "Suoga, are you here for the sake of the 8 tails and the 9 tails, to create a riot to attract attention, and then to search secretly?" Kakashi-senpai. Konoha Ninja, who had already accepted his fate and waited for death to come, exclaimed after seeing Kakashi's arrival. His tone was full of surprises, and there was a kind of rejoicing for the rest of his life. Hearing the exclamation of the Konoha Ninja, Kakashi glanced at the unknown Konoha Ninja. Kakashi saw what happened before, and he recognized his courage to swear not to betray his companions, and admired it. Said, "Good job, leave the rest to me." At this time, a smaller slug suddenly appeared and climbed onto the injured Konoha Ninja. The Konoha Ninja obviously didn't know what the situation was, but he was already suffering. Seriously injured, there is no way to do anything at all. He can only watch nervously at the slug that crawled on him at a loss. Kakashi clearly saw the mind of the Konoha Ninja and explained, "Don't worry, this is Naruto-sama's psychic beast, it will help you heal your injuries." Yes, it turned out to be Lord Naruto's psychic beast. After hearing Kakashi's explanation, the ninja of Konoha was also relieved, although he had already heard of Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas. G's psychic beast is a slug, but there are still many people in Konoha who haven't really seen it, so they are surprised. The wound is healing. It's amazing. After the slug climbed onto the body of the injured person, the body began to emit green light. Obviously it was starting the treatment for the injured ninja, and the wound on the ninja began to recover with the treatment of the slug. Seeing this magical scene, feeling the recovery of the wound, the ninja couldn't help but sigh. After a while, the ninja's injury was effectively treated, at least the ability to move has been restored. Kakashi said to him, "You leave here first, you can't get involved in the next battle, just leave the rest to me." "Yes, I see." Hearing the words, the ninja did not refuse. He also knew that his current state was just a burden to stay here, but before leaving, he reminded Kakashi, "Senior Kakashi, this guy's ability is very strange. When I played against him before, I was knocked down by him without seeing his attack method clearly, please be careful." Quote. After reminding Kakashi, the ninja did not stop, jumped, and disappeared in place, leaving only Kakashi and Tiandao Pain who were facing each other. For the conversation between the two, Tiandao Pain did not interrupt, and even did not stop the ninja when he left, because there was no need for that, and the ninja's life and death didn't matter to him at all, and he appeared in Kakashi. After that, Tiandao Pain focused his attention on Kakashi. After the chakra stick in his hand was held by Kakashi, the two were secretly competing. Crack! It didn't take long for the chakra stick held by Pain to suddenly make a crisp sound. The chakra stick finally couldn't bear the strength of the two people and broke suddenly from the middle, and this crisp breaking sound seemed to be with a signal to start. The two who were in a stalemate instantly shot at the same time. Tiandao Pain turned sideways, and a whip leg suddenly swept towards Kakashi's head. And Kakashi's riding wheel in the eyes of the 3 hooks turned slightly, and he saw through the movements of Tiandao Pain in an instant. When Pain was about to kick him, he squatted down, avoiding Pain's leg sweep, and was squatting. While evading the attack, the hands are also forming the seal, and a group of dazzling seals is almost completed in an instant. 2 done. 2 lubi. With the completion of Kakashi's Indian style, there was a roar on the ground, and then 3 solid walls were raised on the left and right and the back of Tiandao Pain at the same time, but Tiandao Pain was not an ordinary person. After releasing the ninjutsu, his attack had already struck again. With one hand, a chakra stick was reshaped and stabbed at Kakashi, who had been stunned for a short while by the release of his ninjutsu. PFF. Almost at the same time as Kakashi launched the ninjutsu, the sharp chakra stick stabbed Kakashi in the shoulder, and a splash of blood instantly splashed. Humph. Because of the injury, Kakashi let out a dull hum, but there was no panic in his eyes, and his left hand quickly grasped the chakra stick stabbed on him, not giving Tiandao Pain another chance to attack, and the right hand is already wrapped in lightning at this moment. Rachel. The violent thunder attribute chakra condensed in Kakashi's hands, and instantly formed a thunderbolt with super destructive power, which quickly struck Tiandao Pain's head like lightning. Kakashi's combat experience is top-notch. First, he used the earth flow wall to cut off the enemy's retreat, then limited the enemy's movement at the cost of minor injuries, and finally ended the battle with Rachel. All of this was planned by him. And they are all actions that have been completed in an instant. If it were an ordinary opponent, Kakashi's set of strikes might be very effective, but the opponent he faced this time was Tiandao Pain, the core of Pain's 6 ways, and the most capable one. In the face of Kakashi's fatal attack, Tiandao Pain's expression was still as calm as ever, and circles of threaded reincarnation eyes looked at Kakashi indifferently, and there was no problem on the surface, but after seeing Pain's samsara eye, she suddenly felt a palpitating feeling in his heart, which made him feel an indescribable sense of oppression, which made his originally swift offensive stagnate. Also when Kakashi was distracted, Pain's head turned slightly to the side, avoiding Kakashi's fatal blow. Wretch, who was supposed to blast Pain's head, directly hit the man behind Pain. On the wall of the dirt wall, the powerful thunder instantly blasted a large dent in the wall. However, Tiandao Pain was unscathed. 340th chapters, Powerful Rival. Kakashi's Rachel had already locked Tiandao Pain's head, but for some reason, when he was about to hit Pain, after seeing Pain's samsara eye, he felt a palpitation for no reason, and waited for him to recover. When he came, he found that his Rachel had hit the dirt wall behind Pain, but Pain was already unscathed, and was looking at him indifferently with his head tilted. After missing a hit, Kakashi jumped back immediately, distanced himself from Pain, looked at Pain vigilantly, and at the same time felt puzzled. What happened just now? His original killing blow was actually avoided by Pain, and the weird feeling just now made Kakashi puzzled, and he didn't understand why he suddenly felt an indescribable sense of oppression. After all, he himself is considered to be an elite jonin who has experienced hundreds of battles. He has experienced countless battles, and his will has long been tempered to be extremely strong. No matter how powerful an opponent is, he can face it calmly. However, after seeing the opponent's eyes just now, he did feel a heart palpitation, but he couldn't tell. At this time, Tiandao Pain looked at Kakashi and said indifferently, "The copy ninja of Konoha, Kakashi, I didn't expect to meet you here. It's an honor, you seem to be a 9-tailed human column. Teacher Lee, if it's you, you should know where the 9 tails are." What a stupid question. Kakashi obviously didn't want to waste his words. His eyes narrowed, his right hand reappeared the light of Lei Dun. Sengoyu's writing wheel eyes tightly locked Tiandao Pain, and he jumped directly to attack Tiandao Pain again. In the face of Kakashi, who was attacking rapidly, Tiandao Pain's face was still calm, as if nothing could make him panic. Just when Kakashi's wretch was about to stab him, Tiandao Pain's face was still calm. En's threaded reincarnation eyes stared slightly, and an invisible force emerged out of thin air, making Kakashi's body seem to be blocked by an invisible wall, and it would be difficult for him to move forward. Immediately afterwards, with a sound of bang, an invisible shock wave centered on Tiandao Pain suddenly spread around. In an instant, the 3 earth walls behind Tiandao Pain collapsed in an instant, and even Kakashi was caught by this. A powerful impact blasted out, until after hitting a house, it was directly buried by the collapsed wall of the house. It wasn't until a moment later that there was a slight tremor in the pile of ruined houses, and then Kakashi pushed away the planks and stones covering him, and reappeared from the pile of ruins, just looking at it. It looked very embarrassed, but it didn't seem to be seriously injured. Because he is far more alert to danger than ordinary people, when his attack is blocked by an invisible force, he feels bad and takes defensive measures like a conditioned reflex. Facts have proved that his approach is undoubtedly correct. Yes, this is Kakashi's responsiveness honed in countless battles. Although Kakashi looks a little embarrassed at this time, after all, there is still a slug hidden on him that can be treated at any time, and even the wound that was stabbed in the shoulder by Tiandao Pain has already stopped bleeding under the treatment of the slug. He started to recover from his injuries, so in fact Kakashi didn't suffer much substantial damage except for the loss of a little chakra, but the weird attack just now made him secretly startled. After jumping out of the ruins and keeping a safe distance from Tiandao Pain, Kakashi looked at Pain vigilantly, and secretly said in his heart, "What happened to the attack just now? It doesn't feel the same as the shock wave. There was no sign at all. With that guy at the center, everything around was blown away." It seems that he used this kind of attack to solve other people before. At this time, Kakashi remembered the previous reminder of the Konoha ninja before leaving. This kind of ability is really too weird, and there is no sign. If you change to someone who is not prepared for anything, you will definitely suffer a big loss. Although Tiandao Pain's ability is very strange, Kakashi won't be so frightened. After a short thought, he shot again, but this time he didn't plan to attack like the previous 2 times. Since I can't attack him at close range, then, how about trying this? The chakra was condensed in his hand again, and the light of Lei Dun appeared again. After the ninjutsu was formed, Kakashi pointed his arm wrapped around Li Guang towards Tiandao Pain suddenly. Lei Dun, Thunder Tiger kills. A dazzling thunder light suddenly shot out from Kakashi's hand, and then the thunder light turned into a dog-shaped thunder beast in the middle, and charged towards Tiandao Pain with great speed. But in the next moment, when the thunder tiger transformed into thunder and lightning was about to pounce on Tiandao Pain, another invisible attack appeared, and the thunder tiger disappeared in an instant. Seeing this, Kakashi's eyes narrowed slightly, and he secretly said, "Not only physical attacks, but even ninjutsu has been bounced off. He is really a difficult guy. What should I do?" Several attacks had no effect. Kakashi did not attack rashly. From the few confrontations just now, he was at a disadvantage, and the consumption of chakra was also very large. He is not that kind of person with a special physique. Not much, at least until he figured out the exact abilities of the enemy. He couldn't do any more useless wear and tear. Seeing that Kakashi did not attack again, Tiandao Pain did not take the initiative to attack, but looked at Kakashi indifferently, and said in his usual indifferent tone, "Hataki Kakashi, my target is only Yahweh and Kakashi. Nine Tails, if you don't want to be killed by me, then tell me where Nine Tails are." Hearing Tiandao Pain questioning the information of Nine Tails and Eight Tails again, Kakashi was afraid of Pain's ability, but his face was still calm, and he replied indifferently, "I don't have any words for a person like you. Say it." "Really? Since that's the case, I can only read your memory in person." Tiandao Pain said calmly, slowly raised his right hand, and a dark chakra stick popped out of his cuff in an instant, followed by Samsara's eyes narrowed. Vientian Tianian. After Tiandao Pain raised his hand, Kakashi knew that the other party was about to attack. He had been alert to the attack just now, and he was about to resist when he saw it, but before he could react, his body felt it. A powerful attraction pulled him violently, and flew towards Tiandao Pain uncontrollably in an instant. The one who greeted Kakashi was the pitch-black chakra stick held by Tiandao Pain. Chapter 346, Resolving the Human Way. Tiandao Pain raised his hand to Kakashi and directly released the ability of the Samsara Eye. Vientian Tianian. It is a special ninjutsu that can focus on itself and has a strong attraction to the designated target. If necessary, this art can also move the designated object to other places according to its own wishes. Tiandao Pain can even rely on this ability. Can fly freely in the air. With Tiandao Pain's action, a powerful gravitational force instantly attracted Kakashi in the direction of Tiandao Pain. After feeling this gravitational force, Kakashi felt bad and desperately wanted to resist this gravitational pull. Gravity, however, was only in vain, and the lower plate was unstable, and was instantly attracted and pulled by the Vientian heaven of Tiandao Pain. Damn, this attraction. Is that guy's ability too? Just as he was being sucked and pulled, Kakashi's eyes suddenly narrowed, as if he had thought of something, and he secretly said in his heart, "Suoga, that's it. I know a little bit about that guy's abilities." Feeling the attraction on his body, and thinking of the two strange attacks before Tiandao Pain, a flash of light flashed in Kakashi's mind, and he had already learned some information about Tiandao Pain. Now that he knew some of the opponent's abilities, Kakashi also became calm, and immediately reached out and took out an iron chain from the ninja bag. After throwing a few circles in his hand to help, he suddenly threw the iron chain in his hand. Going to a stone pillar not far away, I want to resist the strong gravitational force of Vientiantianian. The end of the chain was put on the stone pillar, and Kakashi held the chain tightly with both hands. The heavy stone pillar really stopped Kakashi's figure. With such an ability, there is no chance of winning against this guy alone. At least someone needs to cooperate, and I have to seek the support of my teammates. Although he stopped his body temporarily, the powerful gravitational force of Vientiantianian still did not disappear, and he was still pulling Kakashi's body, and Kakashi was also clenching the iron chain in his hand desperately. Resisting the powerful gravitational force of Vientian heavenly enchantment, at the same time secretly thinking about countermeasures. Humph! Seeing that Kakashi was in an instant, he even thought of using this method to resist the attraction of Vientiantianian. Tiandao Pain's reincarnation eyes condensed, and the gravity suddenly increased. Oops! Kakashi secretly said something bad. His strength is obviously not as powerful as the power of Vientiantianian, and the battle just now also consumed a lot of his physical strength. At this time, under the strong gravitational force of Vientiantianian, he grabbed the hand on the chain was sliding little by little, and it was obvious that Kakashi was gradually exhausted. It didn't take long for Kakashi to hold on. With a sound of "shoo tilde," the iron chain was released instantly, and Kakashi's body was once again pulled in front of Tiandao Pain under the gravitational force of Vientiantianian. Kakashi has already seen the chakra stick in the hands of Tiandao Pain, but no matter how hard he tries, he can't resist the power of Vientiantianian. The stick is getting closer. PFF tilde. The sound of a sharp object piercing an object sounded. Kakashi's eyes widened, because he was directly stabbed by Tiandao Pain's chakra stick, and the sharp chakra stick pierced his body. From his the back came out through the body, and the blood splashed all over in an instant. However, the next scene surprised Tiandao Pain, because Kakashi, who had been stabbed straight by him, actually dazzled white light from his body at this time, and then turned into lightning and exploded instantly. Tiandao Pain opened his eyes slightly again when he saw this, and a small Shenluo Tianzheng took shape in an instant, directly blowing things around Tiandao Pain, and the thunder and lightning that Kakashi transformed into also disappeared under the invasion of Shenluo Tianzheng. Lei Dun clone. Tiandao Pain's expression was as indifferent as ever, and he glanced at the place where Kakashi was buried by the ruins, and instantly understood what was going on, and said in a low voice, "So it is, has it been hidden at that time? Hataki Kakashi, I really can't underestimate you, it has already been exposed anyway, since that's the case. Then use that trick directly." Samsara's eyes narrowed slightly, and Tiandao Pain seemed to have made a decision. On the other side of the battlefield, except for Tsunade, the other three shadows are also fighting against several other clones of Six-Path Pain at this time, and they have reached a fever pitch. In the 6 ways of pain, each pain's ability is not the same. For example, Pain in the human way, his ability is that as long as the person he touches will be restricted by him, he will also be able to touch the person he touches. The soul of the person who arrives is extracted and the memory of the soul is read. In fact, the human Dao Pain itself is not very strong. Apart from his ability to extract memory, it seems that there is nothing powerful. If you don't understand his ability, you will often not be able to play against the human Dao Pain. Take precautions, this will also give Pain the chance to contact, but if you know the ability of Pain in advance and take precautions, then Pain will not be so scary, and his physical skills are also it's just normal, as long as he doesn't directly touch his body, he can't extract his soul. And the person who is fighting with Tiandao Pain at this time is the 4th generation of Fengying of Cheyenne Village, Shippu Gara. And Gara is a ninja with a strong defensive ability. He can use sand to form an absolute defense. No matter how tricky the attack angle of Pain in the human world is, his sand can defend in time. The ability to face Gaara is completely useless. Gaara has been passively defending since the beginning of his fight with pain in the human world. It seems that he has fallen into a disadvantage, but in fact he is secretly understanding the ability of pain in the world. It turns out that pain in the world seems to be in addition to that. Apart from the ability to extract other people's souls, he didn't show any other abilities, so he secretly said, "I almost already understand your abilities, except for this ability that can never be directly touched by the body, the others are nothing to be afraid of. It's time to fight back." Gaara, who has been passively defending with sand, seems to have figured out Pain's trick, apparently planning to counterattack. After blocking another attack from Pain on the human road, Gaara suddenly jumped a distance, cautiously kept a safe distance from Pain on the human road, and raised his right arm towards Pain on the human road. Sand Shuriken. In an instant, several shuriken made of highly compressed and condensed sand, with a piercing whistling sound, struck the human Dao Pain like lightning. Humph! Facing the shuriken from the sand, the human Dao Pain still did not change his face, looked at it indifferently. Just when the shuriken approached, he snorted coldly, jumped, and escaped his hand. Sword attack. Gaara was not surprised to see Pain dodging the sand shuriken, but he never thought that just a few sand shuriken could solve his opponent. With one move of both hands, he launched the offensive again. Following Gaara's movements, a large amount of sand suddenly poured out on the ground below the human Dao Pain, rolling like a wave, swarming towards the human Dao Pain, as if he wanted to drown him in the sea of sand. Seeing this, Pain in the world, his reincarnation eyes shrank slightly, his feet suddenly exerted force, suddenly jumped towards the sky, and left the ground, thus avoiding the invasion of the sand sea. There is no escape. Gaara said indifferently, without giving Dao Pain a chance to breathe, urging chakra. The sand on the ground seemed to come alive, and even turned the direction consciously, toward the nowhere in the air. Leveraging the help of the human way, Pain attacked. At this time, there was more and more sand on the ground, and Pain had nowhere to stay, and was finally caught up by Gaara's sand. At this time, Pain's eyes finally changed a little, it seemed was a little surprised. Gaara wouldn't care about Pain's reaction to the human world. What he wants to do now is to get rid of the enemy in front of him as soon as possible. After seeing his sand catching up to Pain, he raised his right hand to face him. He suddenly clenched his fist in the direction of Pain, sand-bound coffin. With Gaara's movements, the sand that had caught up with Pain in the human world gathered together in an instant, and layers of sand tightly wrapped Pain in the world, and in an instant, the whole of Pain in the human world was engulfed. The body devours it. It's over. It seems that the dust has settled. After seeing the human Dao Pain completely engulfed by the sand, Gaara said indifferently, and then urged chakra again to directly pull the human Dao Pain wrapped in sand to the ground. On the ground, the sand sea on the ground was like a vortex, and in an instant, Pain fell into the ground, and it sank the human road to a depth of 200 meters. This is a very powerful attack method of Gaara. Burial in the sand. This spell shatters the ground and causes enemies to be caught in the vortex of sand created. The captured enemy will be sunk to a depth of 200 meters without being able to move at all. And the sand that sticks closely to the enemy's body will put pressure on the enemy's limbs, causing the enemy to die in a completely immobile state. It wasn't until he felt that Pain in the human world had completely stopped moving, and Gaara stopped maintaining chakra, and all the sand returned to calm when Gaara stopped. Chapter 347, Asura Road Falls. On the other side of the battlefield, the Shira Road in the 6 Paths of Pain played against the 3rd generation Tukage, and the 2 days Wade Onogi. After Shira Road transformed into Asura's 3-headed and 6-armed mode, a dense group of missiles was launched from the back, flying towards the shadow of the earth, shrouding the shadow of the earth. Oops! Seeing such a dense bombardment of missiles, even Sukage felt troubled, but he didn't flinch because of it. Instead he became serious, put his hands together, and began to seal the seal. Boom tilde boom tilde boom tilde tilde. The flying cannonballs landed on the location of the shadow, and exploded one after another. When the dense cannonballs exploded, a lot of gunpowder smoke and dust were raised, blocking everyone's sight. Lord Toying. Some of the ninjas of the Ninja Federation who were watching the battle couldn't help exclaiming when they saw such a scene. After all, what they saw in their eyes was the place where a large number of artillery shells from the Shira Road hit the place where the shadow was, and their master was not. There was no dodging, so I couldn't help but feel worried. After the breeze gradually dissipated the gunpowder smoke, everyone could clearly see the situation of Toying. That's. The ninjas of the Ninja Federation have changed from worry to surprise at this time, because the one who appeared in front of them was not Tsukage Onogi, but a huge stone giant. Many of those missiles just hit the stone giant. However, the power of these missiles did not seem to have any effect on the stone giant. At this time, I only heard the Toying behind the troll holding his old waist and shouting, "Ouch! My old waist, it is still the age of young people, my Toying should quit." It turned out that when the missiles of the Shira Road attacked Toying knew that such a dense attack could not be blocked with just his fists, so without the slightest hesitation, he directly summoned the rock golem Golan. At the critical moment, came to resist this round of offensive of Pain's 6 paths of Shira Road. This is the strength of the shadow-level ninja. You must know that on the battlefield, as long as the uncertainty of the battle situation is analyzed or the ninjutsu is not performed in time, it is very likely that it will become the enemy's cannon fodder in an instant. As a veteran shadow, Onogi not only refers to his age or qualifications, but also his strength and rich combat experience. Such a small scene is not a problem for Onogi. However, simply defending the enemy's attack like this is obviously impossible to win the battle. Tsukage also clearly knows that the one who is currently fighting against him is not a living ninja. Frankly speaking, it is basically a weapon, a powerful weapon controlled by other ninjas. Seeing that his attack didn't work, Shiradao Pain did not show anger, or he could only maintain one expression from beginning to end, that weird smile. As soon as one arm was raised, several jet black missiles emerged from the arm, facing the shadow of the earth, apparently intending to continue the offensive. Don't try to succeed. After seeing Shiradao's actions, Tsukage understood the opponent's purpose. From the very beginning, he was preparing for ninjutsu, and before the enemy organized the second round of offensive, he had already taken the lead. Tuden, Earthquake Core. I saw that the earth was shaking violently, and then the ground beneath Shiradao Pain's feet suddenly sank deeply. Shiradao Pain obviously did not expect Taiying's counterattack to come so fast, and caught off guard, he stumbled and almost stood unstable. The missiles that were about to be launched were all unable to lock on the target because they were unstable, and all bombed on the wall of the pit formed by the deep depression of the ground. You go to the cemetery first and have a good rest. Tsukage shouted at Shira Road, who had sunk to the ground at this time. Of course, Toying also knew very well that such an attack would only delay the time, and would not be able to destroy the opponent at all. And just when Toying was about to take advantage of the victory to chase down Shiradao Pain, a slug appeared at his feet. Toying quickly stopped when he saw it, and picked up the little slug. After raising the slug in front of him, Toying said in a deep voice, "Isn't this Tsunade's slug?" "What happened?" The little slug squirmed and replied softly, "Yes, Tsuchikage-sama. Because the casualties caused by the enemy to us are too great, Tsunade-sama is temporarily unable to fight in order to treat the wounded, so let me come to assist everyone. She will heal everyone's wounds with her chakra through my body." Tsukage clearly understood Tsunade's medical ninjutsu level, and after hearing the words, he said happily, "Suoga, so that is the case, with Hokage's treatment, our casualties will be greatly reduced, so we will have no worries in the future. It's so nice. Although there is Tsunade in the rear to treat the wounded with chakra to avoid worries, but now is not the time to be happy, because there is still an enemy that has not been completely solved." Secretly said, "It seems that the loss of the alliance is very serious. Tsunade has even channeled the slug, and this guy must be dealt with as soon as possible." After using the Earth Movement Core, the Asura Dao's attack was finally slowed down, but the opponent quickly emerged from the deep underground again, not giving Toying too many opportunities to talk nonsense. At this time, Shiradao was holding a pitch-black missile in his hand, and it flew from the ground to the ground with ease, and appeared in front of Toying again, looking at Toying with a weird smile, as if it is a mockery, and it will attack again at any time. And the shadow is very clear, the opponent's aggressiveness is extremely strong, and the attack range is also huge, and he can only quickly block the enemy's offensive and prevent other ninjas in the village from further casualties. The rock golem summoned by the shadow of the earth still protects the shadow of the earth by his side. Although the missile does not cause much damage to the golem of the rock golem, he also needs to consume chakra to maintain the golem. Even if the stone giant's defense is amazing, but if it is maintained like this, there will always be a time when the chakra is exhausted, and the opponent has been continuously changing missiles from the body, as if endless, and there is no limit at all. It can't go on like this anymore. If you want to end the battle as soon as possible, it seems that you have to use that trick. After all, Toying knew very well that he was only a human body, and the other party was a hard puppet weapon. You can only solve the opponent at the fastest speed, and dragging it on will only make the battle situation more passive. The art of peeling the dust escape realm. In order to get rid of Shiradao pain as soon as possible, Tsuchikage Onogi directly used this trick to watch the house, which is a powerful ninjutsu that combines attack and enchantment. At this time, Shira Road, who had just jumped out of the pothole, had not had time to shoot again, and was immediately sealed in a transparent cone. Dun had already swept his body. Boom! Only heard a loud bang. After Shiradao was hit by the shadow of the earth, not only was he completely trapped in the enchantment, but also began to separate into the state of atoms. The entire body became particles, scattered everywhere, and did not form at all. The body can no longer fight. Finally, it's settled. After saying these words, Tsuchikage was already out of breath, and his whole body was in incomparable pain. After such a fierce battle, Tsuchikage might not be able to recover in a short period of time. You must know that this trick is blood stalking. It can separate the attacked opponent into an atomic state, which can no longer be repaired. This ninjutsu can also change the shape of the enchantment according to your own preferences. Victory! Tokage-sama is amazing. As expected, Tsuchikage-sama. The surrounding ninjas who were far away from the battlefield, when they saw that Tsuchikage successfully eliminated their opponents, all ran over, and at the same time they couldn't help cheering. For a time, everyone seemed to forget how terrifying the enemy was just now. Chapter 348, Raikage's Offensive. The news of the elimination of Pain's Asura Road was quickly passed on to the other ninjas who were fighting through the slugs on the shoulders of the shadows. This news came too timely, because Pain's sudden attack made the unsuspecting the Ninja Federation headquarters suffered heavy losses, and now they know that their shadows have been wiped out by the enemy, which undoubtedly boosts the morale of the ninjas who are fighting the Ninja Federation. And this news naturally reached Raikage's ears. During his battle with Hungry Ghost Dao, Tsunade's slug also found him and stayed by his side as an assistant and a way to pass the message. The old man Kazuyajin Tokage actually killed the enemy first. And as the commander of the Ninja Federation, I still haven't killed the opponent, damn it. When Raikage learned the news of Tuakage's victory from the slug on his shoulder, he suddenly became more impatient, the thunder light on his body became more violent, and the offensive was even more rapid. However, no matter how irritable and furious Raikage was, the opponent seemed like nothing had happened. The more Raikage tried to achieve success, the more unsuccessful he was. If this continued, Raikage's situation would only get worse and worse. The worse. The ability of Hungry Ghost Road is actually very powerful. It can absorb the opponent's chakra, so that all the opponent's attacks become ineffective. This is undoubtedly a very difficult opponent for ninjas who use ninjutsu to fight, because no matter whatever ninjutsu you use to attack Hungry Ghost Road will be absorbed by him, and you will replenish yourself with your opponent's chakra, so that even if your chakra is too much, it will be exhausted for a moment. This is like a magic-resistant skin that is immune to magic attacks in a certain game. It is an invincible existence in front of magicians. The ninjutsu of these ninjas is magic attacks, and Hungry Ghost Road is the magician's nemesis with magic immunity. Unless you can use the magic chakra like Naruto, in the original book, Hungry Ghost Road is because it absorbed too much magic chakra and eventually turned into stone. Reikage is good at Lei Dun, so naturally he doesn't know any magic, and Lei Ying's Lei Dun can't pose a threat to Hungry Ghost Dao. When he fought with Hungry Ghost Dao, chakra was completely absorbed by Hungry Ghost Dao. The attack is also naturally ineffective, and until now Reikage has not been able to solve the enemy. Reikage was originally a violent temper. Looking at Hungry Ghost Road not far away, he was raising his hands to open a barrier. Any ninjutsu that touched that barrier would be absorbed completely and could not be attacked for a long time. This was undoubtedly true. It made him even more irritable, and said angrily, "Damn guy, this bastard's ability is too troublesome. He can absorb all my chakra. It seems that ninjutsu has no effect on him at all. No. If it goes on like this, you must calm down and think of other ways." Quote. After all, Reikage is not a barbarian who can only use violence. After all, he is a shadow in charge of a village. That is not something that can be recognized by strength alone. No one who can become a shadow is a simple thing. Ying looks grumpy in character, but that doesn't mean he's a brainless person. Gritting his teeth and glaring at Hungry Ghost Road not far away, Reikage suddenly noticed a detail in Hungry Ghost Road, which suddenly eased his originally irritable mood. By the way, that guy's face. It turned out that Reikage had noticed the gravure on Hungry Ghost Dao's face at this time. It was the punch that he wrapped Lei Dun chakra around his hand when the Hungry Ghost Dao was unprepared when he had just arrived at the battlefield. It happened to hit Hungry Ghost Dao in the face, and directly sent Hungry Ghost Dao pain flying. It's just that Reikage's previous punch didn't use his full strength, because his punch originally depended on Lei Dun to cause damage, so the strength was not very strong. However, after the Hungry Ghost Doping was punched at the time, apart from some gravure marks on his face, he didn't seem to be hurt, and he stood up again as if nothing was wrong, which made Reikage feel that his attack did not work. Surprise. In fact, Hungry Ghost Road only absorbed Reikage's Raying chakra when Reikage's fist hit him, but he couldn't resist the strength of Reikage's fist. It caused damage to him, but at that time Reikage was secretly surprised by Hungry Ghost Dao's ability to resist fights, and he didn't care about the strangeness on Hungry Ghost Dao's face at all. As the saying goes, there are subtleties in the rough. Although Reikage looks very irritable, it does not mean that he cannot think. Before, because he was eager to solve the opponent, he didn't think much about it. Now that he calmed down, he quickly analyzed the important things. He secretly said in his heart, "Shuga, so it is, this guy's ability is only to absorb chakra, but he can't resist the damage caused by physical attacks, that is to say, using chakra's ninjutsu has nothing to do with him. However, my fist was able to leave a mark on him, which means that a simple physical attack could threaten him." Quote. Now that he knew the weakness of Hungry Ghost Dao, Reikage didn't rush to attack like he did before, but scattered the thunderbolt armor wrapped around him. After all, the opponent could absorb chakra, and the thunderbolt armor was no longer effective. Instead, it will consume its own chakra. After seeing Reikage dissipate the thunderlight from his body, Hungry Ghost Road's eyes narrowed. He didn't seem to expect Reikage to do this, but he quickly guessed what Reikage was thinking, but even so, Hungry Ghost Road's face was full of surprises. Still looking indifferent, he didn't seem to take it to heart. Instead he joked, "So, have you noticed it? It's faster than you thought. You don't seem to be as stupid as you look." Seeing the Hungry Ghost Dao Pain still dared to despise him so much at this time, Reikage, who had just calmed down a little, was once again furious, clenched his fists, his muscles bulged, and gritted his teeth and said, "Damn guy." Quote. After he finished speaking, thunderlight appeared under Lei Ying's feet, and with a sudden kick, the ground shattered because it couldn't bear Lei Ying's strength, and Lei Ying also relied on this strength, and his body suddenly rushed towards Hungry Ghost Dao Pain. Past. Under the stimulation of Lei Dun, the speed was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, he rushed in front of the Hungry Ghost Dao Pain, raised his fist and slammed it towards the hungry ghost Dao Pain's head. This time, Raikage's fist was not attached. Lay done, attacking with pure physicality and strength. Hungry Ghost Road's eyes narrowed, and he suddenly raised his hands in front of him, trying to block Raikage's attack. Boom! A dull explosion sounded, and Raikage's fist hit Hungry Ghost Road's arm firmly, and the offensive also stopped. Chapter 349, Hungry Ghost Road Lost. First, use Lay Done to stimulate the activity of his feet to maximize his speed, and then remove Lay Done when attacking, so that Hungry Ghost Dao does not absorb the chance of chakra again. This is Raikage's attack method. Under the stimulation of Lay Done, the speed was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, he rushed in front of the Hungry Ghost Dao Pain, raised his fist and slammed it towards the Hungry Ghost Dao Pain's head. This time, Raikage's fist was not attached. Lay Done, attacking with pure physicality and strength. Hungry Ghost Road's eyes narrowed, and he suddenly raised his hands in front of him, trying to block Raikage's attack. Boom! A dull explosion sounded, and Raikage's fist hit Hungry Ghost Road's arm firmly, and the offensive also stopped. Although Raikage is good at using Thunderbolt ninjutsu, don't forget that his accomplishments in taijutsu are even far above that of ninjutsu. Although he is slightly inferior to Tsunade's strange power in terms of strength, he is faster than Tsunade in terms of speed. Even better, although this punch lacks the destructive power of Lay Done, its power is stronger than before. What a powerful force, Hungry Ghost said, frowning slightly. Although he blocked the punch, he also felt the horror of Raikage's strength and resisted the punch head-on, making him unable to even stand on his heels. This force pushed out a short distance. Dare to underestimate Raikage, but there is a price to pay. Seeing that his attack was blocked, Raikage did not stop the attack. After a loud roar, he started the attack again, without using ninjutsu, just relying on pure physicality and power attacked the Hungry Ghost Dao Pain. Seeing this, Hungry Ghost Dao Pain didn't dare to face Raikage, jumped back quickly, dodged Raikage's wave of attacks, and then raised his right hand. A pitch-black chakra stick appeared in his hand instantly. Although Raikage no longer used ninjutsu attacks, the ability of Hungry Ghost Road has lost its effect, but it does not mean that he will sit still. Taking advantage of Raikage just throwing his fist and before he had time to launch the second attack, Hungry Ghost Dao Pain kicked his foot and charged towards Raikage actively, and the chakra stick in his hand immediately rushed towards Raikage's body. Stabbed in the past. Because he didn't use the Lay Done armor, Raikage's defense was greatly reduced. Although it was much stronger than ordinary people, he was still flesh and blood. If he was stabbed by the chakra stick of Hungry Ghost Road, he was injured, so Raikage quickly turned sideways after sensing Hungry Ghost Dao's movements, dodging Hungry Ghost Dao's attack, and at the same time kicked his head towards Hungry Ghost Dao with one foot. The friction between the terrifying force and the air produced a whistling sound. Hungry Ghost Dao's response was not slow. After he missed a hit, he heard a whistling sound from beside him. He immediately understood what was going on. He swept across him, bringing with him a gust of wind. Fortunately, Hungry Ghost responded quickly. If he was one step behind, his kick would have hit him in the head. Both of them were attacking only with physical skills. In this short fight, it was not clear who would win and who would lose. After each dodged the other's attack, neither of them had any intention of giving up. The offensive, the two instantly started a hand-to-hand fight. You come and I go, and the fight is very enjoyable. Raikage's taijutsu is not worse than his own Lay Done, but Hungry Ghost Dao Pain is also not an ordinary person. Although his ability is not taijutsu, at least he is not as defenseless as the human Dao Pain. At this time, he could even be on a par with Raikage. But Raikage is Raikage after all. Even if he doesn't apply ninjutsu, his physical skills are rarely comparable to him in the ninja world. Although Hungry Ghost Road is not bad, after a few rounds of fighting, the advantages and disadvantages of the two it soon became apparent that Raikage's offensive was getting more and more fierce, while Hungry Ghost's attacks were getting less and less, because he was already tired of dealing with Raikage's offensive, so he could only passively dodge and defend, giving him the chance to attack. Nothing. Under the storm-like attack of Rain, Hungry Ghost Dao Pain still looked indifferent on the surface, but he was secretly surprised and said, "I didn't expect that Rain is best at not only Lei Dun, but also Taijutsu. So strong, what a tough guy." Boom. There was another loud noise, and the evil ghost didn't notice, and was kicked away by Lei Ying, and flew upside down a long way. "How dare you be distracted when you fight with this old man, go to hell." After kicking the Hungry Ghost Dao with one foot, Lei Ying didn't stop there. Thunderlight emerged from under his feet, heading towards the Hungry Ghost who was in a floating state because he was hit. Dao chased after him, and rushed to the bottom of Hungry Ghost Dao in an instant. Before the Hungry Ghost Dao landed, he suddenly punched and slammed into the Hungry Ghost Dao's body, directly hitting the Hungry Ghost Dao in the air. Immediately after that, Reikage stomped and jumped high in the air, catching up with Hungry Ghost Dao's body again. After spinning his body in the air, he slashed towards Hungry from top to bottom like a battle axe. On ghosts. Although he was violently attacked by Reikage, there was no panic or fear on the face of Hungry Ghost Dao Pain. He was still extremely indifferent, as if he would never feel pain. He whispered to himself, "I can't hide. I am indeed a Reikage, really powerful." As soon as the Hungry Ghost Road finished feeling Reikage's power, his body fell to the ground from midair like an unloaded cannonball. Boom tilde tilde. There was a huge roar, and the powerful impulse made the ground unable to withstand this force, and it was torn apart in an instant, and was smashed into a deep pit by the body of Hungry Ghost Dao, raising a burst of dust, and the body of Hungry Ghost Dao was at this moment. He was lying motionless in the pit. At this time, Reikage also fell from midair to the ground after knocking down Hungry Ghost Dao. At this moment, he was panting heavily and walked step by step towards the pit where Hungry Ghost Dao was. Walking into the pit, looking at Hungry Ghost Road, which was motionless and silent, Reikage did not relax his vigilance. He walked over and lifted Hungry Ghost Road's body, only to find that Hungry Ghost Road was no longer in human form. "Well, that's relieved. It's a tough guy, but I finally solved it." Chapter 350, Have You Retreated? The news that Kazekage, Tukage, and Reikage had successively defeated the enemy was passed on to the ninjas in Union Village through Tsunade's slugs, which undoubtedly cheered everyone up and boosted their morale. Although 3 pains were resolved, the battle in Union Village did not end because of this. Except for the 3 that were killed, there were still 3 pains of hell, animals, and heaven, especially the beasts. The psychic beast raged horizontally in Union Village, causing huge damage to the entire Union Village, and it was very difficult to deal with. When it looks like it is about to be killed, it will divide, just like an earthworm. From the first 1 to 4 now, it will only kill more and more. These psychic beasts won't disappear unless the beasts who are the summoners can be killed, and they will become more and more troublesome. Damn, where did these monsters come from, and they can't be killed? Yun Ren, a member of the Ninja Federation, looked at the psychic dog that had just been cut in 2 in distress. Not only did he not die, but the body that was cut in 2 actually came to life and turned into 2 psychic dogs. At this moment, I couldn't help feeling surprised and said through gritted teeth. Hearing that Yun Ren's complaint, the other ninjas also felt helpless. A ninja dressed in Konoha dodged the attack from the psychic dog and said generally, "Be careful, these guys should be a special psychic beast. No chance of winning." At this time, in the sky above Union Village, a huge Archaeopteryx was circling high, and a figure wearing a red cloud cloak with a black background was standing securely on the back of Archaeopteryx, looking down at the ninja on the ground. Shang's expression is incomparably indifferent, and there is no emotion in his eyes, as if he is a god looking down at all living beings. And this person is the beast Dao Pain in Pain's 6 paths. The goddamn guy. The ninjas on the ground also saw the animal Dao Pain on the Archaeopteryx. They clearly knew that the guy in the sky was the one who summoned these psychic beasts, but the animal Dao was too far from the ground at the moment. The ninja's ninja jutsu could not threaten him at all, which made the ninjas of the Ninja Federation grit their teeth with hatred. There are even flying psychic beasts. The distance is too far, and ninjutsu can't hurt him at all. Seeing that everyone's mood was a little down, a Yunren quickly encouraged him. Everyone, hold on, Reikage-sama, they have already dealt with the other Akatsuki, and now they are rushing over to support. We just need to try to hold back these psychic beasts as much as possible. Well, when Reikage-sama and the others arrive, they will definitely be able to kill that guy. Hearing the words of that Yunren, no doubt made everyone feel excited, and they all echoed. Yes, that's right. As long as Lord Gaara arrives, even if there are flying psychic beasts on the other side, they won't be able to escape. There is also Mr. Tsuchikage, who is a ninja who can fly. This kind of guy is definitely not the opponent of Mrs. Tsuchikage. We only need to hold them temporarily. After that, the ninjas of the Ninja Federation were no longer confused, and they were about to continue the fierce battle with those psychic beasts. At this time, the animal Dao, who is standing on the back of the ancestor giant bird, did not pay attention to the battle situation on the ground. Although these psychic beasts were all summoned by him, he never cared about the life and death of these psychic beasts. This kind of thing for him, it's just a tool, as much as he wants. At this moment, he cares about another thing. It's actually a good job to solve 3 pain, Kazekage, Tukage, Reikage. It's really not to be underestimated. Beast Road was whispering to himself at this time. 6 ways of pain are actually interconnected. Not only can they share vision, but even their thinking is the same person. The 6 of them were originally 6 corpses, and they should have no consciousness at all, but after being made into pain by Nagato, this pen 6 paths has become another part of Nagato, and Nagato's consciousness can all be attached to these pen 6 paths. In the human realm, Shiradao and Hungry Ghost Dao, the other pens are Nagato already knew when the 3 pens were killed, because they themselves were one. It seems that if this continues, the whereabouts of 9 tails and 8 tails will not be found at all. If that's the case, then just use that trick and make the world feel pain. Beast Dao whispered to himself, as if he had made a decision, glanced at the ninja below indifferently, no longer entangled with these ninjas, and jumped directly from Archaeopteryx. The Archaeopteryx also followed after the animal Dao Pain left its back. It disappeared with a bang. And the animal Dao Pain ignored the meaning of the ninjas of the Ninja Federation after landing, and rushed in a certain direction without delay, and there was no chance for the ninjas of the Ninja Federation to react at all. After the animal Dao Pain left, when the ninjas on the ground were full of energy and wanted to entangle with these psychic beasts, there was no sign. These psychic beasts suddenly made a bang, and turned into a cloud of smoke, and then the whole thing disappeared without a trace. All psychic beasts are the same. With the departure of the animal Dao Pain, they all turned into a cloud of smoke and disappeared, leaving only the people of the Ninja Alliance looking at each other, and they didn't expect such a result for a while. What? Disappeared? What's the matter? Has the enemy retreated? What the hell is going on? This change made the ninjas of the Ninja Alliance confused again, and they were stunned one by one, looking at the direction in which the ancestor giant bird was leaving, wondering what was going on, and exclaimed one by one. After confirming that there was no chakra of pain around, a ninja with strong perception said in a deep voice to his teammates, "The chakra who didn't perceive the enemy in the surrounding area seems to be retreating." A more experienced ninja nodded and replied, "Well, but there is a feeling that I can't be relieved. Is retreating on the surface a means of confusion? Be careful, don't let your guard down. I always feel bad. Things are about to happen." Quote. Although the enemy has retreated, the faces of everyone did not show the joy of victory. Instead, they became extremely solemn, and there was a strange feeling in their hearts, as if something bad was about to happen. Chapter 351, Shenluo Tianzheng launched. After the beast Dao Pain left Union Village, he appeared in a wood outside Union Village, and used the technique of psychic to bring back other pain except Heavenly Dao. Except for Hell Dao, the other pains have already been killed by Kazuki and the others. Therefore, the reverse channeling of the animal realm this time only recalled 2 wrecks that were already damaged, namely the Hungry Ghost realm and the human realm. Luo's sand was squeezed and it was no longer human, and his body was covered with sand. As for the Asura Dao, not even the slag was left under the dust of the earth's shadow. There's not even a corpse left. Is the dust escape of the 2-day scale Oyemu? It's really a terrible ability. Hell Dao Pain looked at the two wreckage on the ground, only the Shira Dao was missing, and he pondered in a low voice. Immediately after the Hell Road raised his hand, a huge head emerged from the ground beside him. This was the ability of the Hell Road. The summoned King Yama couldn't help interrogating information, and also had the function of repairing other pain. No matter what level of damage, as long as there are wrecks left, it can be completely repaired with the ability of Hell. I saw King Yama opened his mouth wide, and two weird arms protruded out of King Yama's mouth, grabbed the broken body of the human world and the hungry ghost on the ground and stuffed it into his mouth, and then closed. After opening his mouth, he began to chew, and within a moment, two intact pain walked out of the mouth of King Yama. It is the two pains of the human realm and the hungry ghost realm who have completely recovered with the ability of the Hell realm pain. Then, let's begin. Beast Dao glanced at the rest of the surrounding pain, said a word indifferently, and then collapsed to the ground without warning, and the rest of pain also after the animal Dao finished speaking. Without exception, they all looked like Beast Dao. All of them collapsed to the ground like that, sucked all the chakra in an instant, and lost consciousness. At this moment, Tian Dao Pain, who is inside Yun Ren, has gathered all the chakras from the rest of pain on his body, and with the activation of the ability of Yantian Tianyan, he slowly ascended into the air. I saw that after Tian Dao Pain reached a certain height, he looked down at Union Village on the ground, just like a high god looking down at the ants. At this time, the ninjas in the headquarters of the Ninja Federation did not know that a huge danger was coming to them. It was because of the retreat of the enemy that they were puzzled. Maybe some simple-minded guys thought that the enemy was defeated by the shadows they worshipped. While enjoying the joy of victory, some thoughtful or more sophisticated ninjas have a strange feeling, because this kind of thing is too abnormal. And their purpose is to come for the 9-tailed and 8-tailed people Zuli. There was such a big movement, but they didn't get the information they wanted. How could they retreat so easily? This may be what the enemy has. Conspiracy is also possible. In short, some of the ninjas of the Ninja Federation are happy and some are worried. Everyone has different thoughts, waiting for the decision of the shadows. What's the matter? Has the enemy retreated? Sankage, who rushed to support after finishing the opponent, had already arrived at the position where he had fought with the animal path before, and was obviously a little surprised when he learned that the enemy had retreated. Yes, I don't know why, the enemy who fought with us seems to have received some instructions and retreated without the slightest entanglement. The enemy's chakra can no longer be sensed around. This is really abnormal. Fungi and Gaara heard the words and couldn't help but fell into deep thought. He wouldn't think that the people of Akatsuki's organization gave up the search for the 9-tailed person Zuli so easily, and said in a deep voice, their goal is the 9-tailed in Naruto's body. And the 8 tails of Kurabi. They even rushed to attack Union Village, which is held by 4 shadows. Obviously, they are eager to get the remaining tailed beasts. Without getting the tailed beasts they want, they can't be so easy. There must be something strange about it. Quote. Cage is right, these guys won't retreat so easily, maybe they are secretly planning to deal with us, they must not be taken lightly. Tsukage Onoki nodded and said, obviously agreeing with Gaara's words. The irritable Raikage didn't think too much, gritted his teeth and said angrily, damn, these damned guys are playing some dark tricks. If they dare to appear again, this old man must crush their heads. Just when the people of the Ninja Federation couldn't figure it out because of Pain's matter, a figure was rushing towards them in the distance. It was only after that person came to the crowd that they found out that it turned out to be a copy of Konoha's ninja, Chi Mukakashi, and at this time he seemed a little anxious. Seeing Kakashi's expression, Sankage seemed to have a bad feeling, only to hear Raikage hurriedly ask, what's wrong? Kakashi. Before he could catch his breath, Kakashi pointed to a certain direction in the sky as soon as he arrived, and said to everyone present, the enemy has not retreated, you look at the sky. Heaven, what's going on? When everyone heard the words, they all looked up subconsciously in the direction pointed by Kakashi, and they were surprised to find that in the sky of Union Village, hundreds of meters high at this time, there was a figure floating in the sky above Union Village, slowly slowing down. He opened his arms slowly, as if he was doing something. This discovery shocked everyone in the Ninja Federation. Even Sanyan couldn't calm down at this time, and exclaimed, "That guy, what's going on?" Kakashi explained, "He is a member of Xiao's organization and one of the intruders. I have played against him before. His ability is very strange. It seems to be related to gravity." Kakashi is referring to Tiandao Pain. When he played against Tiandao Pain before, he noticed the ability of Tiandao and knew that he was difficult to deal with alone, so he used Lei Dun Clone to get rid of Tiandao Pain, and then he used slugs to communicate, asking for reinforcements, and at the same time secretly monitoring Tiandao Pain's every move. However, before the reinforcements arrived, they saw Tiandao Pain suddenly soaring into the air. Kakashi suddenly had a bad feeling when he saw this, and he hurried back to report without paying attention to it anymore. Tsukage Onogi looked at Tiandao Pain, who was soaring in midair, and pondered, "It turns out to be a ninja who can fly. It's really rare. What does he want to do?" Kakashi, who has played against Tiandao Pain, has some understanding of Tiandao's ability. Tiandao also made the same move when he launched Vientiantianian on him. Although he has not yet figured out what kind of attack Tiandao wants to launch, but I always felt that something was wrong, so I quickly reminded, "Be careful, it seems that he is preparing a powerful ninjutsu. I have a bad feeling." And just when everyone in the Ninja Federation hadn't figured out what Tiandao Pain wanted to do, Tiandao in midair seemed to be ready. Looking at Union Village on the ground indifferently, Pain's eyes were deep, and he seemed to have some kind of memory, and he said in a low voice, "I can't forget Yahiko's pain, from now on. It's time to let you 5 ninja villages guys feel the pain." As soon as Tiandao's voice fell, an energy that could not be seen by the naked eye suddenly appeared at the position of Pain, and then Shen Luo Tianzheng. Chapter 352, The Desperate Shinra Tianzheng. Shen Luo Tianzheng. With the indifferent words of Tiandao Pain, a huge repulsive force spread out with Tiandao Pain as the center. This force is invisible and intangible, and with a terrifying power, it squeezes in all directions. The Union Village below has already felt the pressure. There are even cracks on the ground or houses, and it will collapse at any time. Seeing this scene, the pupils of the Ninja Alliance present shrank, and their hearts and gallbladders were split. "Oops, what a powerful force, stop him!" The old man Toying shouted. He couldn't help but did not withdraw, but rushed towards Tiandao Pain. Fengyi and Gaara stared solemnly at the rapidly approaching coercion in the sky, raised his hands tightly, ran chakra frantically, and shouted, "Quicksand waterfall." With Gaara's actions, in the place where the ninjas are, whether it is the ground or the surrounding buildings, as long as it is related to soil and stone, it will be crushed under the pressure of Gaara's chakra and all turned into sand. In an instant, a large area of Union Village turned into a desert in an instant. Gaara clenched her teeth and ran chakra frantically. Although they didn't know what happened to the Heavenly Path Pain's technique, they felt the powerful pressure from the sky that made there was a strong sense of crisis in their hearts, and a terrible thought emerged in their minds. If they didn't stop it, the entire Union Village would be destroyed in one go. After turning the surrounding terrain into a desert, Gaara raised her hands towards the air, and at the same time turned the chakra of the whole body to the extreme, and the sand on the ground also followed Gaara's control, frantically. Soaring into the sky, overwhelming the sky, and then the sand condensed in midair, forming a huge sand shield, covering most of the Union Village in it. At this moment, Gaara didn't hold back at all, and released all the chakras in his body to resist that terrifying power. "The old man is here to help you." After seeing Gaara's ability, Onogi didn't take it lightly. After a loud roar, he flew towards the sand shield above Union Village, and after approaching the sand shield made by Gaara, he stamped his hands on the sand. Above. Earth escape, super heavy rock technique. After the roar of the shadow, it was followed by a frantic delivery of chakra, and a soil escape ninjutsu was blessed on the sand of Gaara. Also under the blessing of the chakra of the shadow, the sand density of Gaara, it became stronger and stronger, which greatly strengthened the defense of Gaara's sand shield. It's Lord Fengying and Lord Toying, the two shadows have already shot. It's amazing, is this the power of Kazekage-sama? It's absolutely impeccable. Under such a defense, it will definitely be able to block the enemy's attack. Those of the Ninja Federation who had been desperate, saw the huge sand shield appearing above them at this time, and instantly understood that it was Fengying's means. The originally low morale of the Ninja Federation also rose in an instant, and was amazed by the power of Kawaii. Raikage's attack ability is very powerful, but he doesn't have the large-scale defensive ninjutsu like Gaara and Tsuchikage. Although he wants to stop Tiandao Pain's attack, he has no way to start. At this time, he can only be anxious. He secretly prayed, "Damn, you must block it. This damn bastard, this old man will smash you into pieces." It's too late, it's too soon. From the Ninja Federation's discovery of Tiandao's launch of the Shenluo Tianzheng, and then to Fengying's reaction to quickly release the sand shield, it was only a few seconds before and after, and there was not much time at all, and the attack of the Shenluo Tianzheng had already arrived. Finally, with an unstoppable power, Shenluo Tianzheng of Tiandao slammed into Gaara's huge sand shield, and then the offensive was blocked and could not continue to move forward. After the nervous ninja people noticed that the Shinra Tianzheng that made them feel palpitations was blocked by the sand shield made by their Lord Fengying, the original solemn expressions were immediately replaced by ecstasy, and they breathed a sigh of relief and praised them. With the wind shadow of Gaara's power. It's amazing, Lord Kazekage. Gaara opened the sand shield, and Tiandao in the air naturally saw it. Seeing that Gaara could achieve this level, Tiandao couldn't help but be surprised, but that's all, looking at it indifferently. Looking at all this, he said indifferently, "Fuying's sand ninjutsu. It's amazing to have such a large scale, but this is just a pointless struggle." Crack tilde tilde. As the words of Tiandao just fell, the sand shield that was defending against Shenluo Tianzheng suddenly sounded a shattering sound, and then the ninja people who had just breathed a sigh of relief saw a scene that made them terrified. I saw that there were cracks on the sand shield made by their wind shadow at this moment, and it was still spreading, and the scope was getting bigger and bigger, until it spread to the entire sand shield. Damn, can't you stop it? At this time, Gaara was desperately sending chakra, trying to maintain the sand shield, but it was only in vain, and it was impossible to stop the expansion of the crack. Boom tilde tilde. The sand shield, which carried the power of Gaara and Toying Onogi, could not stop Tiandao Pain's Shenluo Tianzheng. It collapsed in an instant, the only barrier was destroyed, and Union Village was completely exposed to the Shenluo Tianzheng. Under attack. At the moment when the sand shield shattered, a suffocating sense of oppression struck, as if a doomsday-like fear flooded into their hearts, and the ninjas at this time were filled with despair. Invisible repulsion broke out, and the buildings in Union Village, even the ground, could not withstand this incomparably powerful pressure and collapsed. The scene was staged in Union Village. The power of Shenluo Tianzheng continued to spread, and the wreckage of the house was constantly being crushed. The ninjas of Union Village, who originally thought that Lu Dao Pain had retreated, were still immersed in joy, but they never thought that a bigger disaster would come at this moment. So fast. Many ninjas were pressed to the ground by the huge repulsive force of Shenluo Tianzheng before they could react, and finally their bodies were crushed to pieces, and blood-red flowers bloomed in every corner of Union Village. Shenluo Tianzheng spread to the edge of Union Village before it stopped. Almost all the buildings were destroyed, and even the wreckage was squeezed into powder, and there was nothing left. Looking down from a height, it seems that there is a huge invisible meteorite that just landed in Union Village. Union Village, which was originally the headquarters of the Ninja Federation, has now been replaced by a huge crater-like low-lying terrain. Chapter 353, The Ultimatum. Taking Tiandao Pain's location as the center point, the entire Union Village is no longer what it used to be at the moment. There were ruins, and the ninjas in Union Village suffered countless casualties, and it was already a doomsday scene. After using Shenluo Tianzheng to level the entire Union Village, Tiandao Pain looked down blankly. He didn't care about the casualties he caused to the Ninja Alliance. In his words, in order to let this if the world can be at peace, casualties are inevitable and necessary sacrifices. After the remaining power of Shen Luo Tianzheng dissipated, Tiandao Pain controlled his body and slowly fell to the ground. At this time, the Union Village has become a ruin, and the casualties are countless. Fortunately, there are slugs that Tsunade channeled in advance to protect them, so the entire army will not be wiped out. There are still many survivors. The remnants of some buildings or piles of rubble in the smoke-filled ruins were constantly shaking, and the survivors who were buried in the ruins struggled to pick up the debris covering themselves and climbed out of the piles of ruins. Their eyes were dull, or sad and helpless. Most of them looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. What happened just now happened too fast, and they didn't have time to adapt. They really couldn't believe the old Union Village turned into ruins in an instant, including the three shadows. There is no accident, the three shadows survived this catastrophe by virtue of their own strength, and at this moment they are looking at Tiandao Pain who is slowly descending from the sky. Their eyes are full of disbelief and anger. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Reikage almost clenched his teeth. Looking at Tiandao Pain's eyes seemed to be burning with raging fire, wishing to devour him alive. Union Village, after experiencing Uchiha Chen's attack, he left indelible wounds. It was not long after it was rebuilt, and now it has been destroyed again. As Reikage, there is nothing he can do. Watching Union Village being destroyed again and again, one can imagine his anger at the moment. The other shadows are also in the same mood. Although it was not their own ninja village that was destroyed this time, they are now in an alliance and have a common enemy. If they can't even protect the headquarters, the morale of the ninja alliance will be severely damaged, so they are also very sad and angry at this moment. Tap tilde tilde. Tiandao Pain had landed from the air to the ground at this time, looking at the ninja people not far ahead with a look of indifference. Damn bastard. Lei Ying, who had been furious to the limit, saw Tiandao Pain, the culprit responsible for the destruction of Union Village, appeared in front of him. The expression on his face has also been distorted because of anger. Even Reikage standing beside Reikage Tokage and Kazekage can feel Reikage's current killing intent at this moment, and it has reached the point where it can no longer be added. The old man swears to smash your body into 10,000 pieces. With a roar of rage to the extreme, Lei Ying's whole body was filled with this violent thunderlight. At this moment, Lei Ying was like a furious beast, exuding an intimidating killing intent. Brazenly charged towards Tiandao Pain, the powerful impact made the ground unable to withstand Reikage's power, and the ground where he was originally shattered. Reikage, be careful. Kakashi, who had played against Tiandao Pain, knew the ability of Tiandao, and when he saw Reikage attacking Pain at the moment, he quickly reminded him. However, at this moment, Lei Ying was already dominated by anger, and he couldn't hear any sound at all. At this time, he only had one thought, which was to tear the culprit that led to the destruction of Union Village in front of him to shreds. Facing Lei Ying's tyrannical offensive, Tiandao Pain looked indifferent, as if he took Lei Ying in his eyes. When Lei Ying's fist was about to hit him, he raised his right hand and said indifferently, Shen Luo Tianzheng. Boom. An invisible powerful repulsion force unfolded in an instant, and Reikage's momentum was also hindered by this repulsion force. No matter how difficult it was to move forward half an inch, Reikage was stunned and flew back by this repulsion force. The power has been restored. Indifferently glanced at Lei Ying who flew out, Tiandao groaned in a low voice. Reikage was bounced off, what's going on? Seeing Reikage being bounced off by Pain, Kaze and Tsuchikage, who had never seen Pain's abilities, did not understand what was going on, and exclaimed. Seeing everyone's doubts, Kakashi, who had played against Tiandao, quickly reminded, everyone, be careful, I have played against this guy before, his ability is very special, it seems to be centered on himself, sucking the surrounding matter in the past or bounced off. In simple terms, it is like gravity and repulsion. Reikage was bounced off by his ability. Quote. Hearing this, Gaara frowned, and said in a deep voice, are gravity and repulsion. Could it be that Union Village was also attacked by the kind of attack just now? Kakashi looked at Tiandao Pain solemnly, and replied, it should be right, but this time the attack did not reach that level. It seems that he can freely control the intensity of this power. After flying Reikage, Tiandao did not shoot again, but turned his attention to Kakashi and said indifferently, quite good insight, the use of ninjutsu and combat capabilities are also rich and colorful, like you. If you keep such a guy, you will have endless troubles. Kakashi heard the words, his eyes narrowed, thinking that Pain was going to do something to himself, and looked at Tiandao Pain vigilantly, guarding against Tiandao's attack. However, Pain did not intend to take action, but continued, before that, let's talk to you a little bit. Tuying heard the words, snorted coldly, and said angrily, let's talk. For someone like you, there is no need to talk at all. Facing the anger of the people in the Ninja Federation, Pain didn't change his face, and said to himself, I is the god of rectifying order. You can call me Pain. You must have understood my purpose. As long as 9 tails and 8 tails, hand over these 2 pillars. Hearing Pain's purpose, the people of the Ninja Alliance were not surprised. They already knew it before, and I saw Gaara staring at the heaven and said coldly, it's really wishful thinking. It's impossible to hand Naruto to you in the hands of a man. Quote. After being rejected, Tiandao obviously had expected it, and he was not angry, and said indifferently, the capture of the tailed beast is almost over, and the tailed beast is used to maintain the balance of power between Ninja Village. It is no longer possible to maintain it. Continue. It's pointless to protect 9 tails and 8 tails. Speaking of this, Tiandao Pain slowly closed his eyes and continued, the war has broken out, and the war has now been ignited everywhere, and a large number of ninjas are killed every day because of this. Now only I can control this war. If you are willing to assist me, then there will be no more unnecessary sacrifices. In the current situation, you should understand my power. If you don't want what happened just now, then cooperate with me. Quote. Tsukage Onogi angrily shouted, don't look down on the 5 shadows. You who took the initiative to provoke the war even dared to ask us to help. The behavior of people like you is unforgivable. Pay attention to the wording, this is an ultimatum as a god. Taing's rebuke made Tiandao Pain suddenly open his eyes. A small Shenluo Tianzhong was formed in an instant, and a repulsive force rushed to the people of the Ninja League. Fortunately, this time Pain seemed to just want to threaten the Ninja League people, so they didn't use their full strength, so the people of the Ninja Federation just felt a repulsion that was not very strong, and they gathered chakra under their feet and stood tightly. Say, where are the 8 tails and 9 tails? In the face of Pain's threat, the people of the Ninja Alliance did not compromise. Although the opponent was strong, it did not mean that they would give in. I saw Toying coldly snorted and said angrily, Humph. You will never get what you want. What is needed? There is nothing to say about people like you. What we have to do is to gather all our strength to defeat you, that's all. With the roar of Toying, everyone in the Ninja League took an offensive posture and launched an attack at any time. Suo Ga, this is your choice. It's a stupid decision. Since this is the case, I have to take an extreme approach, then. I can only do it. Tiandao Pain said indifferently. Whoosh tilde whoosh tilde whoosh. As Tiandao's voice just fell, a few smashing sounds rang out, and 4 shadows suddenly appeared beside Tiandao Pain, protecting Tiandao in the middle, and confronting the people of the Ninja Alliance. After the people of the Ninja Federation saw the figures around Tiandao Pain, the ninjas present were all surprised, even Feng Ying and Toying were no exception. Because the one standing beside Tiandao Pain is the other Pain of Ludao Pain. Except for Shiradao, which was completely wiped out by Toying, all the other Pain are here, including the human world killed by Feng Ying. Dao, and the hungry ghost Dao that Reikage killed. At this time, Gaara could no longer keep his composure, and exclaimed, What? How is it possible? This guy has been buried in my sand, how can he be unharmed? And that, I saw with my own eyes that Reikage-sama had already knocked him down, and now he is resurrected. What is going on? Some ninjas who had seen Raikage kill Hungry Ghost Road also exclaimed at this time. Obviously, the enemy who had been killed with his own hands actually came back to life. Chapter 354, Earth Shadows Shock. Swish swish. Several sounds of breaking through the air sounded, and 4 shadows stopped beside Tiandao Pain, which were the other pains except Shiradao. How is it possible that these guys have not been killed? They were unscathed. Could it be that they have the ability to resurrect the dead? Even a calm person like Gaara couldn't help but be surprised that he had reappeared in front of him unharmed at this moment. Chen Dun is really powerful, and it can break down the Asura Dao without leaving a single bit. One of the 6 Dao Pain was missing, and Tian Dao Pain glanced at the old man toying and said indifferently. Although I haven't completely figured out what's going on, Gaara, who once played against Pain, still reminded me, everyone, be careful, these guys' abilities are very strange, you must not take it lightly. Unforgivable fellow, give me death. Just listening to an angry roar, Raing, who had been bounced off by Tiandao Pain's Shen Luo Tianzheng, has arrived again at this moment, and his whole body flashed with lightning, turned into a silver light, and rushed to Tiandao Pain again. At this time, Lei Ying, who had been blinded by anger, did not notice the few figures around Tiandao Pain, one of which was the hungry ghost Dao that he solved with his own hands. HMPH, what a grumpy fellow. Facing another powerful attack from Rai Ying, Tiandao Pain looked indifferent and didn't even move a step. I saw Pain's 6 paths of Beast Dao stand up, and at the same time, he quickly made a seal and then suddenly pressed his palm to the ground. The art of psychic. Bang tilde. Accompanied by a cloud of smoke, a huge giant bull psychic beast appeared out of thin air. As soon as it appeared, the wind was blowing from its 4 hooves and rushed towards Lei Ying. Get out of here, old man. Seeing the huge psychic beast approaching, Lei Ying had no intention of dodging, and condensed Lei Dun chakra on his feet, then jumped up, raised his feet and slammed into the giant cow's head from top to bottom. Going down, he now wants to smash Tiandao Pain into tens of thousands of pieces, and does not allow anyone to stand in front of him. Boom tilde tilde. The giant bull couldn't withstand Raikage's powerful blow at all, and the huge body collapsed suddenly. This attack was exactly Raikage's ninjutsu, Yilei Shen Furious Thunder Axe. You must know that Chen was using Susanoo's magic. Under this state, he suffered this critical strike from Raikage, and even Susanoo's defense was cracked. The power of this move can be imagined. This giant cow is just a corpse transformed by Samsara Eye. Although it is huge, it cannot be compared with Susanoo at all. Therefore, facing Raikage's crit, it is simply unbearable. Disappeared in a cloud of smoke. However, the psychic beast of the animal realm is not just a giant bull. After Raing blasted the giant bull, he found out that a giant dog with fleshy wings and a huge rhino were rushing out of the fog, carrying a thunderbolt. The potential hit Raikage. Go back to me if you're in the way. Facing these 2 behemoths, Raikage was unafraid, and with a roar, he attacked these psychic beasts again. On the other side, after seeing Lei Ying's shot, Tu Ying and Kei Ying didn't even watch, and the 2 of them looked at each other tacitly before making a move. Toying looked solemnly at Tiandao Pain, who was surrounded by the rest of Pain, and secretly said in his heart, that guy seems to be the leader of these people, get rid of him first. After he made up his mind, Toying did not hesitate, raised both hands in front of his chest, a square transparent barrier suddenly appeared, and there was a small white luminous sphere inside. This was Toying's super nirvana, dust escape. As soon as Toying makes a shot, it is a nirvana. He intends to use lightning speed to solve the opponent before he can react, and what makes him happy is that Tiandao Pain's eyes are on the thunder at the moment. Shadow's body didn't seem to notice his movements. Good opportunity. Dust escape, the art of peeling the realm. When Toying saw such a good opportunity, it was naturally impossible to miss it. After he condensed the cube-shaped chakra energy in his hand, he threw the cube enchantment in his hand towards Tiandao Pain without any hesitation. When it was about to cover Tiandao Pain, a figure dodged and appeared in front of Tiandao Pain in an instant. At the same time, he raised his hands against the dust that was released by the shadow, and a translucent barrier suddenly stood up, as if it is the dust escape that wants to block the shadow of the earth. This person is the hungry ghost Tao of the 6 paths of pain. Do you want to block the dust escape with your body? Impossible. Seeing hungry ghost Tao seems to be trying to block the dust escape and earth's shadow with his body, but the next scene shocked his jaw. Nani? As soon as Chen Dun touched hungry ghost Dao's body, the scene that Tu Ying imagined did not appear, but he saw that his own Chen Dun was gradually being absorbed by the open barrier of hungry ghost Dao at a speed visible to the naked eye. On the other hand, there is nothing in the hungry ghost realm. It's possible that the old man's dust escape has disappeared. What did that guy do? As for his own dust escape, Toying knows better than anyone else. That is the blood-based elimination composed of 3 chakra fusions, which is 1 level higher than the blood-based limit, and can decompose anything into super powerful abilities close to molecules. However, this scene in front of him broke his cognition. Even if he was well informed, he felt extremely shocked at the moment. After hungry ghost Dao completely absorbed the dust of Toying, Tiandao Pain focused his attention on Toying, looked at Toying with icy eyes, and said indifferently, "The 3rd generation Toying weighs 2 days on Oyegi. Is it? Your dust escape is really a big trouble. If you are not careful, you can really die." Damn, what the hell is going on with these guys? At this moment, Tu Ying had cold sweat on his forehead and looked at hungry ghost Dao solemnly. He still couldn't understand why his dust escape would fail. Chapter 355, Analysis and Decision Making. What's the matter? The attack of the Tsuchikage didn't have any effect. Did that person from Akatsuki do something? Since Pain appeared, Kakashi has been secretly observing the few Pains. At this time, he was as surprised as Toying after seeing the attack of Toying failed, and looked at hungry ghost Road solemnly. Is thinking about something. The abilities of these people are very strange. That guy with the appearance of the leader should have an ability related to gravity. The other one, so far, has not shown other abilities other than summoning these special psychic beasts to fight, and the one just now. Quote. Kakashi lingered on the Tao of Heaven and Tao of Beasts for a while, and finally set his eyes on Tao of Hungry Ghost, and at the same time was secretly analyzing the ability of the other party. When Tsukage's ninjutsu attacked him, it seemed to hold up a special barrier. Tsukage's ninjutsu didn't work. It must be related to that barrier. Try it first. Kakashi already had a guess in his heart, and Kakashi wanted to verify his guess, directly running chakra to his right hand, and suddenly Kakashi's arm was entangled by dazzling thunder. Lay done. Thunder Tiger kills. After the ninjutsu was completed, without hesitation, Kakashi threw the Lei Dun in his hand directly. The moment Lei Guang was thrown out, he turned into a Thunder Tiger, emitting a dazzling light, and quickly rushed towards the target. It is the way of hungry ghosts standing in front of the way of heaven. HMPH, Hataki Kakashi. Is he testing the ability of the hungry ghost Tao? He's really a thoughtful guy, but even if you know it, it won't help you. Everything you do is meaningless. Kakashi's movement was not small, and Tiandao Pain naturally noticed it. When he saw Kakashi's Thunder Tiger attacking, he still had a calm expression. The hungry ghost rode, raised his arms again, and opened the barrier against Kakashi's Thunder Tiger. Hey Tilda. As expected, Kakashi's Thunder Tiger did not cause any damage to the target after hitting the barrier of Hungry Ghost Realm, but was merging into the barrier bit by bit at an extremely fast speed, as if being attacked. The enchantment absorbed the same, and finally disappeared completely, and this time the attack was deliberately done by Kakashi, so when he launched the Thunder Tiger kill, his eyes were on the body of the Hungry Ghost. Ability, he could see clearly. Shuda, that's how it is. Kakashi's eyes narrowed slightly, and his suspicions were confirmed in his heart. Looking at the Hungry Ghost Tao Pain in front of him, he said with disbelief in his eyes, "Hold up the barrier with both hands, and then use all the ninjutsu. Absorb it, make all attacks useless. This is the ability of that guy. Damn, how can there be such a tricky ability?" Quote. It was precisely because he knew the ability of Hungry Ghost Road that he was shocked. Ninjas rely on chakra to cooperate with ninjutsu to fight. If all ninjutsu is useless, this is a fatal problem for ninjas. It's really tricky. The abilities of these three people are already so difficult, so what kind of special abilities will the remaining two have? There are actually 5 people like this. In the end, Kakashi turned his attention to the human realm and the hell realm that had not yet been shot, guessing the abilities of these two pain. Hearing Kakashi's words, Tsukage also understood why his ninjutsu disappeared. At this time, he also felt troubled, and said in a deep voice, "It is really a troublesome ability to absorb all the chakras. If this is the case, then all of our ninjutsu will have no effect on him. I didn't expect that there are such powerful guys in Akatsuki's organization other than the masked man who calls himself Madara Uchiha." Quote. At this time, Raikage is still fighting with the psychic beasts of the animal way. Raikage's strength is very strong, and coupled with the anger at this time, it is even more unreserved. Almost every punch and every move has been exhausted. Although the psychic beast was huge, it was unable to withstand Raikage's power, and was knocked to the ground by Raikage's crit with almost no room for resistance. However, what made Raikage even more annoyed was that every time he eliminated a psychic beast, there would always be a new psychic beast rushing towards him, especially the giant dog, which was constantly splitting, as if the inexhaustible elimination and the inexhaustible killing made him exhausted and unable to approach Tiandao Pain at all, which made Raikage even more mad. These goddamn chops. After smashing a psychic dog that rushed up, Raikage saw more psychic dogs rushing towards him from all directions. Even though these psychic dogs were not very strong, but the endless entanglement, it really made him furious. Although he was annoyed, he had to deal with these psychic dogs. He could only roar and continue to attack these psychic dogs. On the other hand, after Kakashi analyzed the abilities of the Hungry Ghost Dao, Gaara also shared the abilities of the human Dao that he had learned. After combining them, they have mastered 4 of the 6 ways of pen. There was originally an Asura Dao's ability, but this pain has disappeared in the dust of the soil shadow, so now there is only one Hell Dao ability they have not understood. Each of these guys has a very powerful ability, which can continuously summon psychic beasts with special abilities, and can absorb the enchantment of any ninjutsu attack. Once touched, the soul will be sucked away. The ability, and the ability to attract and bounce matter. It's really tricky to get these guys together, and if we can deal with them separately, our odds of winning may be better. Analyzed Kakashi pondered for a while, and then suggested to Kazekage and Tsuchikage. After listening to Kakashi's suggestion, Kakage and Tsuchikage agreed very much, but Tsuchikage still thought of some problems and said in a deep voice, "This tactic may be feasible, but there is still a guy who has never shot, I don't know him. What is the ability of the enemy? We only have 4 people now. If each person is responsible for an enemy, there is still one left, other than us, no one else can deal with it at all." Quote. After Union Village suffered from Tiandao Pain's super-large Shinluo Tianzhong, although it was assisted by Tsunade's slug, the entire army was not wiped out, but most of the ninjas had suffered serious injuries under the attack of Shinluo Tianzhong. The strength to be exerted is already non-existent, and letting ordinary ninjas deal with an enemy of Pain's strength is like dying. Leave the last one to me to deal with, don't forget I have Hokage. Just when Kakashi and the others were still thinking about countermeasures, a loud voice came, and after looking around, they found out that the person who came was the 5th-generation Hokage Senju Tsunade of Konoha. Chapter 356, Sasuke's Purpose. At this time, when Union Village was in the heat of the fight, somewhere in the shinobi world, in a dense jungle, a slightly lonely figure was walking unhurriedly until he reached the edge of the woods. In the depths, I stopped when I saw a place full of gravel. Sasuke is no stranger to this place, because it is a secret experimental base of Orochimaru, but the entrance of the cave has collapsed, and it doesn't look any different from the outside. Looking at the place where he used to stay in the past, Sasuke can't see any nostalgia in his eyes. Obviously he has no nostalgia for this place, and the reason why he came here is because he once killed Orochimaru here. Now, here is the burial place of Orochimaru. Looking at this dark place, Sasuke whispered to himself, Orochimaru. I know you don't die so easily, and I can feel your presence." As he said that, he reached out and stroked the curse mark on his neck, feeling the dark power transmitted from the curse mark. His eyes shrank and became more and more cold. "Don't disappoint me, otherwise, I will let you completely gone." The curse mark on Sasuke's neck is exactly the curse mark of the sky that Orochimaru planted on him many years ago. The user of the spell can have powerful power when using the spell, but the longer it is used, the greater the damage to the user itself. And another function of the curse of the sky is that for Orochimaru, it is a life-saving trump card. Orochimaru can hide in the curse mark of anyone who has the curse mark of the sky when he is about to die. It is not clear how many people have the curse mark of the sky in the comics, but in the original book, Orochimaru is from Red Beans and Sasuke. The owners of the two heavenly curse seals have been resurrected. Orochimaru himself is a careful ninja. There are many forbidden techniques to save life, and the curse mark is indeed a very successful product of him. In the original work, Sasuke used and relied on the power of the curse seal before opening the kaleidoscope shaker. Until the Battle of Fate, when Sasuke and Itachi fought fiercely to the end, Orochimaru was resurrected with the help of Sasuke's Curse of Heaven, although in the end, Itachi sealed Orochimaru's clone and the Curse of the Sky with a 10-fist sword, and Amaterasu burned Orochimaru, who was about to escape, to death. After that, Sasuke completely got rid of the Curse of Orochimaru. And here, thanks to Uchen's help, Sasuke opened the kaleidoscope shaker earlier than in the original work. After possessing the ability of the kaleidoscope, he no longer needs the power of the curse mark. Relying on the ability of the kaleidoscope, the power of the curse mark was not used at all, which also made Orochimaru no chance to play, so Itachi did not erase Sasuke's curse mark of the sky at that time. And Sasuke's purpose today is to rely on the curse of the sky on his neck to revive the Orochimaru who was killed by him before. After pulling out the grass pheasant sword inserted in his waist and transporting the chakra, the grass pheasant sword in the assistant suddenly appeared, and with a sudden wave of the sword, it shattered the stone husk blocking the entrance, revealing a dark hole. Just when Sasuke was about to walk into the cave, his eyes suddenly narrowed and he turned to look at the woods. At this time, a figure appeared in Sasuke's sight, and was constantly rising and falling in the trees, and the figure was advancing. The direction is exactly where Sasuke is. After seeing the appearance of the person who came, Sasuke withdrew his gaze and reinserted the pheasant sword in his hand into the scabbard. "Sasuke, I finally found you." The person who came was Shigego, who came out to look for Sasuke. After receiving the news from Sasuke from the little animal, Shigego left the main force of Yinin and came alone to find Sasuke. Relying on the guidance of the little animal, he finally caught up here. "Sasuke." After seeing Shigego, Sasuke didn't show any strange expression. He didn't seem to be surprised at all. Instead, he said indifferently, "Aren't you supposed to be with that guy now? Why are you here?" Shigego didn't care about Sasuke's indifferent attitude, showing a warm and naive smile, and said to Sasuke, "My friend told me that I found your whereabouts, and I came to find you." Shigego raised a hand towards the sky as he spoke, and a bird that was circling in the air lightly landed on his finger, pecking at his finger affectionately. Sasuke glanced nonchalantly at what Shigego referred to as friend, then asked, "Looking for me? Did that guy send you here?" Shigego knew who Sasuke was referring to as that guy, shook his head, and said, "No, no one asked me to come. I came to you myself. Junmalu died for you. He once said, well, you are his reincarnation, so I want to follow you." Hearing this, Sasuke looked at Chongo silently, and after seeing Chongo's firm gaze, he just left a sentence indifferently, "Whatever you want." Then he ignored Changwu and walked directly towards the inside of the base. When Changwu saw this, he stroked the bird in his hand. The bird seemed to understand the meaning of Changwu and pecked Changwu's finger. Flapping his wings and flying back into the air, Shigego started to follow Sasuke's footsteps. The two walked in silence in the dark secret passage, one behind the other, and the dark environment did not affect their sight. At this time, Shigego looked around and asked in a deep voice, "Sasuke, what are you here for?" Sasuke walked unhurriedly, and said in a deep voice without turning his head, "I want to understand something thoroughly. In short, there is someone I must meet now." Hearing that, Chongo didn't show any surprised expression, just said indifferently, "Suoga." In fact, Shigego just asked casually. As for what Sasuke wants to do, he doesn't care. No matter what Sasuke wants to do, he will obey. Soon, the two came to an empty basement. Chapter 357, Orochimaru Resurrection. The two walked unhurriedly in the dark secret passage, in which there was no movement other than the footsteps of the two of them. Soon, the two came to a relatively empty underground base. They went to a vast basement, and the room was full of rows of shelves. On the shelves were many glass bottles, some of which were large and some small, and some specimens were soaked in the big bottles. These specimens there are all kinds of creatures. It can be seen that Dashuan has also done a lot of cruel biological experiments here before. In the innermost part of the room, there was a chair with a pole standing beside it, and several dried blood bags hanging on it. In front of the chair, there is a stone platform with Orochimaru's snake body cut into several pieces. This is what Orochimaru wanted to snatch Sasuke's body before, and then was defeated by Sasuke. All became slender, and the scales on the body turned out to be small snakes. Sasuke's long body was cut into several pieces, and at this time it was lifeless and motionless on the stone platform. Looking at all this around, Sasuke wrinkled his head slightly and said solemnly, "Someone has been here before." In Sasuke's impression, after he dealt with Orochimaru, he didn't touch anything here. He didn't even pay attention to Orochimaru's corpse and left directly, but just blasted the whole of the base when he left collapse. It is regarded as the tomb of Orochimaru. After all, he also got a lot of benefits from Orochimaru. He is still willing to do the effort of burying Orochimaru's body. However, in the current scene, it seems that someone has been here and cleaned up the body of Orochimaru, and the body of Orochimaru is obviously missing a large part. In fact, Sasuke guessed it well. Someone did come here. That person was Yaoshido. After Sasuke dealt with Orochimaru, Yaoshido returned to the place not long after Sasuke solved it. The cells were implanted into their own bodies and gained the power of Orochimaru. Chongo looked at the surrounding environment, and finally looked at the wreckage of Orochimaru, and said doubtfully, "This is Orochimaru." Sasuke said indifferently, as if he was talking about a very common thing. Chongu heard the words and suddenly said, "Orochimaru. Shuga, so he was killed by you here. Could it be that the person you want to see is Orochimaru?" "Yeah, that disgusting guy, I have to see him now." "Isn't he already killed by you?" "HMPH, that guy is very tough. How could he just disappear so easily? I'm going to find him now, and let him do one thing for me." I don't know what Sasuke said, but he has no objection to Sasuke's request to see Orochimaru. He asked in a deep voice, "Do you need me to do anything?" Sasuke looked at the wreckage on the stone platform, and said to Shigego indifferently, "First help me take off a piece of meat from Orochimaru." "Got it." Shigego did not refuse Sasuke's request. No matter what Sasuke wants to do, he will only obey. Walking to the edge of the stone platform, Chongu stretched out his right hand, and saw that his hand suddenly changed, with barbs growing, turning into a cursed or immortal form, and lightly placed on Orochimaru's. On the wreckage, a large piece of meat was torn from the wreckage, and at the same time, Chakra, who was transmitting immortal magic from his hand, regained the vitality of the piece of meat that had been completely necrotic. After doing all this, Shigego turned to Sasuke and asked, "What's next?" Sasuke twisted slightly, revealing the curse mark on his neck. "Bring it here and put it on my curse mark." After Shigego finished all of this, Sasuke recalled the seal of the evil seal that Kakashi used to suppress the curse seal for him. As long as he did the opposite, it would be the seal of release from the evil. Thinking of this, Sasuke told Shigego, said, "Next, I will teach you how to unravel the seal of the evil spell. After you see it clearly, you can cast the spell on the seal on my neck. Understood. The seal of the unraveling evil Dharma seal is not complicated. I can remember it after watching Sasuke perform it once. Under Sasuke's instruction, the seal begins. Ninja Dharma. Unraveling evil Dharma seal. After the Indian style was completed, Shigego pondered and pressed the flesh and blood of the Orochimaru on Sasuke's shoulder. Psi tilde. Just after Shigego finished all this, there was a sudden sound from the curse mark on Sasuke's neck, followed by the sound of a poisonous snake spitting out a letter. Sizzle. Immediately afterwards, there was a horrifying scene. I saw a gray-white giant snake drilled out of the flesh and blood on Sasuke's neck, spitting out letters and looking around with cold eyes. After the snake came out with more than half of its body, it opened its mouth wide. Suddenly, a human arm stretched out from the snake's mouth, followed by a human head, then a body, and finally a complete human emerged from the snake. Crawled out of his mouth. After the man had completely climbed out, the big snake seemed to have completed its mission, paralyzed on the ground, motionless, and stopped moving. Pale skin, long black hair, long golden pupils, purple eyeshadow extending to the wings of the nose, and blue hook-shaped earrings. This person who just crawled out of the snake's mouth was actually killed by Sasuke in the first place. Orochimaru. At this time, Orochimaru was looking at Sasuke playfully with his gloomy eyes, and said in a hoarse voice, Hey tilde what a surprise, I didn't expect you to be the one who resurrected me, Sasuke. After Orochimaru appeared, Chongo stood in front of Sasuke, and at the same time entered the curse seal that had already covered half of his face, and stared at Orochimaru vigilantly. Once Orochimaru had any suspicious actions, he would not hesitate to do so. He hesitated to do it, after all, he knew the danger of Orochimaru all too well. Seeing Chongwu's actions, Orochimaru didn't care, and said with a chuckle, Chongwu, don't be nervous, I can't do anything in my current state, and there is no threat to you. Chongwu, step back. Sasuke patted Shigego on the shoulder, told him to step back, and walked directly in front of Orochimaru. Without any nonsense, he said bluntly, Orochimaru, I want you to do something for me. Chapter 358, What Needs to Be Done? Hearing Sasuke's words, Orochimaru wore his trademark evil smile, looked at Sasuke with interest, and said in his characteristic hoarse voice, You don't need to elaborate, I already knew your purpose when I was in your body. The curse imprint is the product of my infusion of the immortal chakra, which is equivalent to the will to separate from my body. As long as the curse imprint on your body is not removed, then everything you experience around you will be clear to me. Sasuke didn't show any displeasure when he heard the words. He didn't seem to care about Orochimaru's spying, and said indifferently, So, you know about the war, right? Orochimaru's eyes revealed an unpredictable look, and said with a chuckle, tilde of course, but I'm not interested in this war. This is a war started by others, and it has nothing to do with me. What interests me is your young body. Hearing what Orochimaru said, Sasuke didn't say anything yet, but Shigego next to him took a step forward subconsciously after hearing what Orochimaru said, staring at Orochimaru vigilantly. In the face of Shigego's hostility, Orochimaru didn't care, but said helplessly, Don't worry, now I have lost my strength, even if I want to take Sasuke's body, I am powerless. Sasuke said indifferently, I know that you have the forbidden art of reincarnation in the dirt, I want to see them, those who know the truth of the past dynasties. Orochimaru asked with interest, Oh, what are you going to do when you see them? Sasuke closed his eyes, as if he was thinking about something, then opened his eyes to look at Orochimaru, and said in a deep voice, I know too little, I need them to tell me the whole truth. Whether it's Chen or Itachi, they all excluded me one by one, I don't need them to arrange my life, I want to know everything, then come to the answer by thinking, decide what I should do with my own will and eyes, not like a child just as bewilderedly follow their will. When Orochimaru heard the words, he put away his playful expression and looked at Sasuke silently. He could clearly feel the change in Sasuke. It was not the same as when Itachi was controlling his life and using him casually, as if it were a night. A lot has grown between them, which makes Orochimaru a lot of emotion. After a moment of silence, Orochimaru said in a deep voice, "The current you is not bad, I can help you, but it is not as simple as you think to reincarnate the Naruto of the past, and I can't do it in my current state." Quote. Hearing this, Sasuke frowned slightly and asked, "Why?" Orochimaru explained, "My hands have been sealed, and the seal of reincarnation cannot be completed, and the souls of Hokage from the first generation to the fourth generation have been swallowed up by the god of death summoned by the use of Ghoul Seal, and those who have lost their souls. Humans cannot be reincarnated from filth." Quote. How could this happen? Is there any way? After listening to Orochimaru's words, Sasuke's eyes revealed dissatisfaction. He did not expect that after resurrecting Orochimaru, he finally got such an answer, which undoubtedly made him feel disappointed. Seeing Sasuke's disappointed expression, Orochimaru chuckled and said, Don't be too disappointed, if it's someone else, there might be no way, but I've been doing the sealing technique to seal off the ghouls. Research, there are some doubts about the way to crack this sealing technique, but this technique has not been implemented yet, but you can give it a try. While talking, Orochimaru walked to a wall of the base and groped on the wall. Boom. I saw that with the action of Orochimaru, the wall was split from the middle to the left and right, and a narrower secret room was suddenly revealed in front of Sasuke and others. Ignoring the surprises of Sasuke and Shigego, Orochimaru walked into the secret room and rummaged through it. When he came out again, there was an extra scroll in his hand. Orochimaru threw the scroll in his hand to Sasuke. Sasuke hurriedly reached out to catch it, first glanced at Orochimaru suspiciously, and then slowly opened the scroll in his hand. What caught his eye was a depiction of the Mask of Death, and the corpse ghost. Sealed up, these 4 characters. After seeing the contents of the scroll, Sasuke showed a slightly surprised expression, and asked in a deep voice, "This is the method of unlocking the seal. As long as the spell on the scroll can be completed, then the soul of Hokage and my hands of the past dynasties can be unsealed. As long as my hands are restored, I can perform the art of reincarnation." Hearing this, Sasuke regained hope and asked quickly, "What should I do?" For Sasuke's eagerness, Orochimaru did not immediately agree to Sasuke, but shook his head and said, "Don't worry, before that, there is one thing I must do, and I need to use your strength." Sasuke looked at Orochimaru, was silent for a moment, seemed to think for a while, and finally said, "What's the matter?" "I need to get back my own power, which I can't do with my current state, so I need your help." "Okay, what do you want me to do?" After listening to Orochimaru's request, Sasuke agreed without any hesitation. Now he doesn't have to worry that Orochimaru will regain his power and will be bad for him. Before he got Itachi's eyes, he didn't put Orochimaru in his eyes. What's more, he is more than a little bit stronger now than before. If he can kill Orochimaru once, he can kill him a second time. If Orochimaru really dares to have a disagreement with him, he will not take it seriously. Hesitantly let Orochimaru disappear completely. Orochimaru seemed to have expected that Sasuke would agree, so he was not surprised, and said with a chuckle, "Let's go, we need to go somewhere now." After speaking, he turned around and walked towards the exit of the base first. Sasuke glanced at Orochimaru, didn't say anything, and walked directly behind Orochimaru, and Chongo's purpose was to protect Sasuke, so he naturally followed. I didn't expect this kid to be able to do this. It's a bit incredible. Now he seems to have chosen the same path as me. Go. Chapter 359, 6 Douchin. After the Fourth Ninja War, all the countries and ninjas in the world united and formed the Ninja Alliance. In order to protect their family and their country from the destruction of those who want to control the world, they worked hard. Of fighting. At this time, in a different dimension, Chen was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. A strange energy wave emerged from his body. Behind him, there were 9 pitch-black Taoist jades floating in the air. He is in a mysterious state. Now Chen has cloned all the 9 big-tailed beasts and fused them into 10-tailed. Today, he has become another 10-tailed human pillar force after the sixth path immortal, and his strength is also the moment he became 10-tailed human pillar force. With the earth-shaking changes, he has entered the 6th level. After becoming a 10-tailed man, Chen not only strengthened his strength, but even his original appearance was very different. There was a phenomenon of throwback to his ancestors. His hair changed from black to white, and 2 wooden roots grew on his forehead. The horns of his body are dressed in a white robe printed with black jade, which is almost the same as the 6 spots in Chen's impression. Ever since I saved Shuiyu last time and tried out the tailed beast jade, I have been a bit unwilling to control my own power. Although I have very strong strength, Chen is still too unfamiliar with this power, and I have not achieved the ability to control it. Therefore, after using the new power before, he returned to his own space and continued to practice and gradually adapted to the power brought by the 10 tails. As for all the external conditions, Chen also did not know. Of course, Chen doesn't care so much about what happened in the outside world. War or something, this kind of thing is insignificant compared to mastering the power of the 10 tails. I don't know how long it took, but Chen, who was closing his eyes, suddenly opened his eyes. It's just that his eyes are no longer scarlet, but the whole eyeball is gray, and at the same time, in the gray eyeball there are also circles of texture. It turned out to be a pair of reincarnation eyes. Chen stood up slowly. No matter how he looked or his strength, Chen clearly felt the change in his body, stretched out his hand and touched the horns on his forehead, and laughed at himself. Haha tilde is this the state of 6 paths? Finally a little bit. It's a bit like, although it looks quite high, but I always feel a little weird, but this power absolutely can't be wrong. As soon as he raised his hand, the Tao guiding jade behind him floated, and a Tao guiding jade slowly floated to the top of Chen's palm. The Tao guiding jade that was originally in a circular state was constantly deforming at the moment, and finally formed a long stick. Jade is like a part of Chen's body, which he can control at will. This feeling is really not bad. After playing around for a while, Chen threw the jade stick in his hand, and the jade stick quickly returned to a circle and floated behind Chen again. They've been here for too long, and I don't know what's going on outside. It's time to go out and see. Chen returned to the world from his own space. At this time, he stood in the sun for a while, feeling the long-lost sunshine. Looking at the original work, the immortal 6 paths divided his power into 2 parts and passed it on to his son. I am now a 10-tailed human pillar. Whether it is the so-called immortal body or immortal eyes, I have both. It should be no worse than those 2 guys in terms of ability. Uchiha Chen thought so, and then his eyes narrowed. Just listening to the strange sound of Kaka, the gray-white Susanoo appeared instantly, and within a few breaths, it had become a complete body. The gray-white energy on the huge Susanoo's left hand was flowing, and finally turned into a hand. With the appearance of a long bow, Uchiha Chen was completely wrapped by Susanoo and stood between his forehead and brow. Uchiha Chen controlled Susanoo, and saw that the huge Susanoo quickly raised his right hand and pulled the bowstring on his left hand, and a gray-white arrow appeared on the bow out of thin air. The head of the gray-white arrow is burning with black skyfire, which is the power of Amaterasu. It feels really good. Hey, the bow and arrow left the string, and there was no sound of breaking in the air, and the distant mountain suddenly exploded, burning with a raging flame. The speed of this arrow has exceeded the range that the human eye can capture. Even Uchiha Chen, who has a kaleidoscope writing wheel eye, can only see the flight of the arrow with enough eyesight. Such power is comparable to Sasuke's Indra's arrow. Seemingly satisfied with the power of this arrow, Uchiha Tatsuya had a smile on his face, untied Susanoo, and stopped the burning of the black flame. The so-called 6 paths immortal mode is actually an upgraded version of Naruto's immortal body. When the 6 paths immortal mode is turned on, you can not only use the various tricks of the previous immortal mode, but also his physical strength, ninjutsu strength and various aspects. Both forces have been elevated to a whole new level. This mode can be said to comprehensively enhance the power of the user. And after this mode is turned on, Uchiha Chen can skillfully use the chakra power of various attributes, and can even use a variety of ninjutsu of blood limit and blood elimination by himself. Before Naruto did not control the Six Paths Immortal mode, he could already perceive malicious energy, which was only a relatively superficial perception. After turning on the Six Paths Immortal mode, the perception power surpassed that before, even more than before. Countless times stronger than before. Chen, who was still satisfied with his own abilities, suddenly frowned and felt something, but soon he laughed again, and said jokingly to the empty surroundings, "Hee, I was able to find this place. Not bad, you can hide from my perception. You are good at hiding your breath. If I hadn't just reached this state, I might not have been able to find you." Quote. As if speaking to someone, but also speaking to himself. Yahahahi, Fei's guess was right. I didn't expect to find something amazing. A frivolous voice sounded, and I saw a white object slowly emerging from the ground in the empty place in front of Chen, looking at Chen with a playful face. Chapter 360, The End of Whiteness. A frivolous voice sounded, and I saw a white object slowly emerging from the ground in the empty place in front of Chen, looking at Chen with a playful face. Appearing in front of Chen is the intelligence expert of Xiao Organization, Baiju. The reason why Baiju appeared here is because of the task that Obito gave him. Since Obito guessed the secret that Uchiha Chen might be hiding, he could no longer be calm. In order to prevent accidents, he directly asked Baiju he must personally monitor Uchiha Chen's every move. Even if you can't collect specific information, at least you must know Uchiha Chen's whereabouts. In this way, once Uchiha Chen has any actions, you can know it as soon as possible, so that you can take adequate preparations, so you won't be so passive. After seeing Baiju, Chen Shang didn't even have to think about what his purpose was. He didn't show any unusual emotions, just a calm expression, and said with a light smile, "It's really not bad, to be able to find this place. That guy is really vigilant about me, he has already got what he wants from me, and he still needs you to monitor me." Looking at Uchiha Chen's attitude, Baiju was a little puzzled. After all, no matter who was being monitored, even ordinary people would be annoyed, let alone a person with such powerful power as Uchiha Chen. When he was discovered, he had the consciousness to face the anger of Uchiha, and he was already prepared to escape. Once he found out that the situation was not right, he would flee immediately, but he did not expect that Uchiha was not only not angry, but instead appears to be friendly towards him. Although it was strange, Baiju didn't think much about it. He was very confident in his ability, so after being discovered by Uchiha Chen, Baiju not only didn't panic, but teased, "Otherwise, how could you find such a thing? What a great secret, I didn't expect you to hide such a great thing, it's really shocking." Baiju is telling the truth. Although he looks very frivolous on the surface, after discovering this form of Uchiha Chen, he felt extremely shocked in his heart. He really did not expect that the guess that made Obito feel terrified turned out to be unexpected. It really became a fact. Uchiha Chen not only really has the ability to clone the tailed beast, but he has even completely integrated the tailed beast, reaching the legendary realm one step ahead of Uchiha Obito. This kind of thing is beyond his cognitive ability. It's really scary to have such a terrible thing. Fei is right. This guy Uchiha Chen is the biggest threat in our plan. Looking at Uchiha Chen's eyes, Baiju's heart was deep. There was a moment of fear, but it didn't show it on the surface, and there was still a weird smile on his face. Hearing Baiju's words, Chen didn't feel angry, but said with a chuckle, "Hee tilde, since you found out, there's nothing you can do, but you dare to appear in front of me after seeing my power. I really have to admire your courage, Baiju." After saying the last sentence, Chen's eyes became sharp, and even the smile that hung on the corner of his mouth had now turned into a smirk. With Chen's transformation, the surrounding air suddenly became cold, and it was creepy for a while. The coercion burst out in an instant, and even triggered the vision of heaven and earth. Baiju felt bad and was about to run away, but before he was allowed to act, his body was nailed to the ground by a pitch-black stick, and a strange energy came from the stick, causing him to can't move. What's the matter? My body. Baiju desperately wanted to control his body, but he was unable to do anything, and the pitch-black rod not only restricted his body, but also kept absorbing his chakra. Until this moment, Baiju could no longer pretend to be calm. With a terrified expression on his face, looking at Chen Uchiha who was walking towards him step by step, he said in horror, "What do you want to do? Don't forget, you and we are in a cooperative relationship now. Our common goal is the coalition of the 5 countries, killing me will not do you any good." Partnership. Ha 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 tilde tilde tilde. As if hearing a joke, Chen laughed, then looked at Baiju jokingly, and said, "That kind of thing doesn't exist at all. I never thought about joining forces with you from the beginning. I think Uchiha brings the soil should also have the same idea. We are just using each other and each gets what we need. The so-called cooperative relationship is just a joke. If his goal is really achieved, then he will be the first. The person who wants to get rid of it is probably me." Although Baiju didn't know what restriction he was under, his body could not move, but his consciousness was clear. After hearing the name Uchiha Obito from Chen's mouth, he stared, looking extremely surprised and nervous. "Nani? How is it possible, you? How do you know Obito? What do you know?" Seeing Baiju's expression, Chen seemed to feel very happy, perhaps because of the influence of power. I don't know since when, he had this kind of despair and fear that he liked to see his opponent showing in front of him. The expression, "Now he is already the same as Uchiha Chen who was walking on thin ice in Konoha, but an existence that scares the entire ninja world." The powerful strength brought him not only the change in strength, but even his Shinshin was gradually changing as the strength became stronger. When Chen heard Baiju's terrified words, he jokingly looked at Baiju who was pinned to the ground by a chakra stick, and said with a sneer, "He tilde I know something far beyond your imagination, but these have already been mixed with you. You have nothing to do with." Immediately after Chen's eyes gathered, a black flame appeared out of thin air, and finally landed on Baiju who was unable to move. Ah tilde 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 yaba road tilde. The black flame spread to Baiju's whole body instantly, causing Baiju to be in pain and screaming in extreme pain. "A Fei won't let you go. Ah!" Black flames burned Baiju's body. No matter how hard he struggled, it was useless. He seemed to know that there was no hope of survival. Baiju stared at Uchiha Chen viciously, cursing, and finally let out a painful howl, and then he lost his life. Chen watched from the beginning until the end, until Baiju was completely reduced to ashes.